How to Flirt with Women and Get What You Want. A Guide to Flirting, Dating and Seduction. By Ryan Harris. Chapter 1. It's time to live the life you want and date the girls you desire. Are you sick of watching your friends get all the girls? Do you wish you knew what it took to be able to just talk to a woman? Are you tired of sitting on the sidelines watching what you wish was your own game? Then it's time to learn how to really talk to women and master the art of flirting. Yes, you heard me right, flirting is an art form. Oh yeah, it is something that requires skill, practice, and dedication. To start, let me ask you if any of the following feel familiar to you. You think you have game but she runs the other way. You turn from man to mouse and can't even put a sentence together around a woman. A 5-year-old seems to be able to hold a more meaningful conversation with a woman than you. Don't worry, there's no shame in admitting it. I'm sure you yourself already know you definitely need some help. Why else would you be here? By working through this book you will learn to recognize the problems that need fixing, employ the best possible strategies to get your flirt on, and then as a result increase the odds of winning the game and getting your dream girl. You have come to the right place because it can only get better from here. I don't have to tell you the most nerve-wracking part of flirting is just working up the courage to approach. We have all been there and I have seen many a good man crash and burn on the flirt approach. To be honest, I myself have crashed and burned. I can remember it clear as day. I was at a bar with some friends and I spied this beautiful woman from across the room. She was amazing, gorgeous, and pulled together. To me, she was just not your typical woman. Stealing that French line, she had a certain je ne sais quoi, and I just knew that I had to talk to her. Whether a mistake or not. I pointed her out to the guys. After a fair amount of teasing and prodding from my friends, I decided it was just best to go up to her. I felt far too nervous but I wasn't going to admit that to them. Despite feeling like I could literally crap myself, I was sure that once I got up to her I could pull it together. After all, this wasn't my fist rodeo. So I got into position beside her at the bar, took a deep breath, got her attention, looked her right in the eye, and nothing. I developed a stutter and literally turned into a babbling baboon right there on the spot. I felt like I was having an outer-body experience. I was looking down on this fool who couldn't even make sense of what he was trying to say. Whatever words did make it out of my mouth was plain unintelligent and boring. I was mortified and I wanted to dive under a table and hide. The look on her face said it all. She looked at me like I was a fly that had flown into her drink. My flirt game went out the window and because of that, I blew any chance at a conversation. I forgot everything I knew in that moment. I didn't start a witty conversation, I didn't get a number, I didn't even get a name. Of course, I didn't feel great about myself that night. The guys laughed and had a great time at my expense doing impressions of my stutter. However, it cemented something inside me. I was the captain of my own destiny. If I wanted to get that girl in the future, would have to take control, learn, grow and change. What I'm trying to convey is that we have all had those moments where we wished that we knew how to capture her attention. Most of us are no Casanova or Lothario, so the most difficult times are when you simply don't know what to say. But through my experiences and what I have learned, I will help and pass on to you, how to actually talk and flirt with women. Us men are bombarded every day with images in music videos and advertising that the men with swagger and bling get the women. Women don't care much about the nice clothes and sweet ride, if a man has no substance. Sure, you can be the whole package. However, if you don't know how to put your bait on the line and reel her in with good flirting and conversation, then your game is bust and she's going to get away. Yes, believe it or not, flirting is about learning to talk to a woman in a way that she wants to be talked to. It's about combining observation, powerful body language and good conversational skills. Maybe, till now you have thought that you're not capable of this or it wasn't an important part of flirting. However, reading this book will teach you how to take control of your dating destiny. I will let you in on all the secrets and tips I have learned over the years, and you will be able to hold yourself with confidence and draw her in with a good, fun, flirty conversation. Here you will learn one of the biggest lessons, flirting, is that sincerity goes a long way. Being genuine and not an arrogant try-hard, matters greatly to those lovely mysterious creatures of the opposite sex. This book isn't about mind games to get her into bed either. Players never win in the long run. Yup, you read that right, the player is never going to end up in a good relationship or lead a happy life because they just see the end game as sex, nothing else. So forget about little games or trying to play women. You can now start to focus on the things that really matter. If you can learn how to really master the art of flirting through holding an interesting conversation, then you are in. You might doubt that now, but read on and you will learn how to get the woman of your dreams by being yourself. So let's get started and work at making you a great flirt, an amazing conversationalist, and get a woman interested in you by being who you actually are. Chapter 2. Getting the most from this book. I know. You are probably reading the chapter title thinking, that's a bit patronizing. Don't worry, I know you are not an idiot. I know people learn best through control of their own learning styles. However, I have written this book to follow a process that gets results. If you choose to follow the process, you will have the best chance of getting the most out of this book. You're reading this book because you decided that you need to take control and that you need to change things. So now why not also get the most out of it, by making sure you use it in the most efficient, successful way? While I'm being forthright, let's address the elephant in the room, male pride and feelings. You are not weak or less masculine because you want a bit of help. You can stop feeling bad or shameful about yourself if you are. I know way too many men just like us who feel that they are above needing any help. But they are the ones who will struggle and keep getting their quests in life wrong. Asking for help or learning to improve yourself is not a weakness. You have recognized something in you that needs improvement and you are taking the right steps. That is strength and will work in your favor. Women will recognize your ability to connect with your feelings, it's a quality they find very attractive. They seem to have some sort of built-in radar and tracking device for those sorts of qualities in men. I also want to give you some kudos for recognizing that what you're currently doing isn't working. You've seen it's time to stop watching the game from the benches and become a key player on the field. This is the ultimate way to take control over your life, and it will show in your relationships with women as you start to get results from the advice in this book. You have made a conscious decision to quit feeling bad about things and start to take control over something that isn't your strong suit. You have made the choice to live, and it's pretty awesome. Get busy living or get busy dying. Stephen King. Okay, so enough of the pep rally. Let's get back to business and how you can use this book to your greatest advantage. Here's what I recommend that should work for most of you: read the whole thing through just once. Read it at your own pace. Give the suggested activities a try, especially the parts where I ask you to write down answers. Take in as much as you possibly can in that first run through. Make quick notes or mark important parts that relate to you. The point in the first read-through though is to take in the information for all that you can and see it all in context and as a whole. Once you have read the book as a whole, revisit anything you marked as personally important. Reread what you have written down as goals, needs or wants. Try to start implementing the advice or steps mentioned into situations in your daily life. Start with the ones that really speak to you. Realize nothing is going to change just because you have read a book. You need to practice, practice, practice. Practice and hard training are what gets athletes to their goals. Nobody usually wins that race or big title the first time round, and it's the same with flirting and relationships. Understand there will be failures. Don't be afraid to make a mistake. Be afraid to not learn from it. Take time to really assess a crash and burn. It's gonna sting for a bit, so don't do it straight away, as you will not be able to step back to see what went wrong or right. When you have recognized the mistakes or positives, revisit the applicable section of this book and try it again. Now I'm not a professor here. I have no degree in relationships nor am I some sort of academic master. I am a just man like you. The only difference is that I have learned how to successfully use techniques and strategies to win women over. I feel now that I have used this knowledge and have the girl of my dreams, it is time to relinquish the baton and pass it on. Don't tell my girl, but between you and me this baton holds a lot of good times and memories and it's pretty hard to give it up. But, I just don't need it anymore and it would be selfish to hold on to it. So read on, use responsibly, and get winning in the game. Chapter 3. How to easily and quickly master the art of flirting. Okay, admittedly this may sound a bit corny at first, right? I get it. You don't think that you need a personal development tutorial on pseudopop psychology. You probably think that the way you view the world is just fine. You may be thinking, hurry up and just tell me how to start flirting and get talking to women. Why in the world has he started talking about change of mindset? Why would I need to think of things or view things differently? Simply put, because it's damn important, that's why. Here's the thing, if you view the world in a certain way your entire attitude begins to change. Your mindset or the way you think, whether good or bad, can change everything in your life. You have probably heard the term positive thinking. Yeah, I know, it sounds like a soft, fluffy, new age term, like walking around in rose-colored glasses and ignoring the negative aspects of life. However, it really is some powerful stuff. Positive psychology researchers are finding that thinking positive thoughts and feeling positive emotions can aid in stress management, improve overall health and well-being, and even improve social and work skills. Thinking positively and doing activities that make you experience positive emotions, not only gives you an immediate boost, but the effects can last much longer afterwards. Researchers call this the broaden and build theory. When you think positively or experience good emotions, your brain is open to a lot of new possibilities. In an article on the science of positive thinking, James Clear explains that this, in turn, allows you to build new skills and resources that can provide value in other areas of your life. For you, this means that by thinking positively and removing negativity and doubt, you can get better at flirting and start attracting more women. Possibly even end up with something true and meaningful, if that is what you are after. Yes, depending on the way you are feeling, you are either sending out a positive or negative message to women and everyone else. This is why, before we start anything else in this book, you must understand the effect of thought and how to get thinking positively. So, let me break this down with an example because I think it will help to drive the point home. Chapter 4. Make your flirting work. I had two friends with very different viewpoints and attitudes. Adam was always a really loud, outgoing, vivacious kind of a guy. This was not what mattered about his personality though, it was that he was nearly always positive. It made him a very confident and fun guy to be around. He didn't seem to have a care in the world. He told me once in confidence, that this was due in large part to the fact that he chose to project and experience things that made him feel and act positively. He worked hard to be confident and that made him a total woman magnet. Loads of our male friends also wanted to hang out with him, although guys being guys, probably didn't realize that this was due to his positivity. Now, let's compare Adam to my other friend Brian. He was always a nice guy, but a bit on the quieter side. Being quiet wasn't an issue with his mindset. In fact, he was very good at picking up things that other people missed. However, the fact that he was pretty negative about everything was an issue. Often, he was a Debbie Downer and worried so much that he tended to make mountains out of molehills. Brian's constant need for reassurance sometimes meant he could suck the energy out of you, and to be honest, it made it difficult to be a good friend to him. When it came to approaching women, he was a complete mess about it. He was negative, didn't feel good about himself, and therefore women were not at all drawn to him. Only his closest few friends, that saw the brief glimpses into his great dry wit and very caring nature, could stand to spend time with him. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Wayne Dyer. These are extreme examples, but there's a good chance that you know a Brian or Adam in your own life. If the Brians and Adams of this world can influence how you feel when you are around them, then you can see how the same is true for how your mindset and energy transmits to women. This is why we are starting with looking at your mindset. In the simplest terms, if you believe that you can't do it or you are always worried or negative, then you are setting yourself up for failure. If you are positive and make a choice to enjoy life and live it to the fullest, then good things will happen. You will give yourself more opportunities for success. Do you want to learn how to talk to women? Do you want to be confident enough to flirt and get more dates? Then start by creating the right mindset. What have you got to lose? Changing your mindset will drastically change your love life forever. The best place to start is by looking at how you've been with women in past relationships. An easy exercise to try is writing down a pros and cons list of what worked and didn't in past relationships. This will help you figure out exactly what you liked and didn't like and what you want from your next potential relationship. When you have a good idea of what you want, you can focus on the positive aspects of someone you would like to approach and therefore increase the odds of approaching and successfully flirting with the right woman. Chapter 5. The Mindset. To continue in trying to create a positive mindset, take a moment to think about how you currently feel when you approach a woman. What sort of words come to mind? For me, it used to be words like clumsy, bumbling, weird, nervous wreck, dirty shoes, wrinkly shirt, no aftershave, bad hair, bad breath, ugly, etc. What do you notice? Perhaps a bit of a general theme of negativity? I'm willing to bet you, if you are honest with yourself, you currently have your own version of negative self-talk and that you think you couldn't possibly approach her or that you will get rejected. This type of negative self-talk is like a self-fulfilling prophecy and in turn will likely dictate your outcome. If you doubted yourself or lacked confidence, then you were shooting yourself down before you even got started. Your mindset is everything, and so it's time to start feeling good about yourself and your flirting approach. Replace the negative words with the positive and watch what happens. Just try replacing one negative thought with a positive and watch the magic happen. Try saying, "I can approach that woman." Try looking in the mirror and tell yourself something that you like about your appearance. Dig deep and come up with your most positive traits and attributes. This is introspective and may feel silly or difficult, but I promise you that if you try it, you will help to unlock something really great within you. Doing this will also help you approach and attract the right woman who is looking for the same positive qualities you possess. Just try to replace one negative thought with a positive one and see how it changes your entire outlook and the opposite sex's outlook towards you. Society portrays women as the only ones who struggle with being positive. Stereotypically, it's assumed that men are just born confident and therefore positive, but this isn't true. The reality is that men struggle with a positive mindset and self-love just as much as women. It may not be as talked about, but it's a problem nonetheless. If you're trying to change your dating game or at least be better with approaching women, then it all starts right here and right now. It all begins with you feeling good about you. When you make the shift, great things will start to happen. Women will start to take notice and will be intrigued to see what your positivity is all about. A positive, confident man is very attractive. You can not only get the type of relationship you want but also create the life that you always wanted by simply choosing to change your mindset once and for all. Chapter Takeaways. Creating a positive mindset is very important as it will increase your chances of flirting successfully. Positive thinking can aid in stress management, improve overall well-being and health, and help create new life skills. Your new skill is flirting. Positive attitudes are attractive to women, and men if you want more friends. You can create a positive mindset by using the pros and cons of past relationships to focus in on the positive qualities of a woman you now want. Replacing negative thoughts and words with positive ones. Focusing on projecting your best qualities. Removing negative self-talk to allow yourself to be successful. Chapter 6. This attribute is everything. Okay, so you now know a positive self-attitude and thought system will set you up to increase your odds of successful flirting with women. However, it's important to note going over the top and being too self-positive can be a total turn-off to most of the fairer sex. Your mindset, as with everything else in your dating life, requires balance. Well done, if you have started or recognize that you need to change your mindset and are aiming to do things that focus on the positives of your appearance and project your best qualities. Trust me, given some time and practice at being positive, flirting will become easier and women will start to pay attention. What is key to take away here is that you can subtly project your positivity without having to slap them in the face with it. Along with being the fairer of the sexes, women can also be the fickler. At the risk of sounding sexist, sometimes I think they don't even know what they want. Defining some of the major turn-offs is much easier than making a list of what women want. To start walking along this tightrope, I'm going to state they don't want a cocky, self-absorbed man. Stop right there and let this sink in. You don't need to overcompensate and try so hard to be positive and confident that you freak people out. You can and should feel good about yourself and life in general. But, if you take that to another level and start to act way too positive, this can quickly turn into arrogance. Definitely not something a woman wants as a quality in a man. Avoid turning into a self-positivity Hulk, find a good balance and women will be far more interested. Women also don't want a man that is fixated on bigging up his material possessions. Your sweet car or flaunting your wealth as positive aspects of yourself will make you come off as shallow and a total jerk. Most likely, what she wants is for you to be in control, to be positive, to be confident and have something interesting to say. If you are a positive guy that is genuine and knows how to listen and carry a conversation, then you will instantly win. In essence, this is about being yourself and showing trustworthy masculine qualities that she will be interested in. If you wrongly choose to advertise your positive qualities through bragging about your money, your job, your car etc., you will come off as way too self-assured. When a guy is overconfident, something sticks out like a sore thumb as not ringing true, something she will sense in you as being untrustworthy. No relationship of any kind can develop without trust. If you overbalance and turn into the self-positivity Hulk, you can kiss any opportunity with her goodbye. Flirting is like knowing the right dance steps, cheesy but it does take two to tango. If you start being too cocky, the dance becomes a solo. She will be turned off as she is no longer valued or needed. Try to think of this from her point of view, she wants to see that you are a guy worth talking to. If all you're doing is coming off as cocky, she's going to find someone else that meets her needs. She doesn't want a guy who thinks that he's God's gift to women. She wants a guy that is genuine, that is down to earth, and that she can talk to. She also wants to have a little fun flirting with you. All of this comes in the package of a guy who knows how to balance all the right personality traits positively. The positively balanced you can be this guy. Just be yourself and be real and be positive about that. The thing is that so many of us men try too hard. We so badly want to impress a woman that we feel the need to showboat. We want to win her over and so we go too far to one extreme which makes us look like a total fool. Sad but true. We've all been there before. If you slow it down and be real, it will change everything. None of this will happen overnight and that's okay. It may take you a while to get to a confident and positive state of mind, but you will get there. It may be difficult to learn new ways of communicating. Flirting may be something completely new, different, and maybe even intimidating to you, but you can master this. Start by finding balance and knowing that extremes never work in your favor in this aspect of the flirting game. I won't get too deep here, but suffice it to say that balancing out who you are and the type of approach that you take will make a huge difference to your success with the ladies. Break it down something like this. You don't want to talk too much, but you also don't want to be too quiet. You want to be confident, but you don't want to be cocky. You want to be playful and flirty, but you don't want to come off as a player. And you want to have interesting things to say, but you also want her to know you are listening. Show that you are kind, caring and truthful. When flirting, being a bit cheeky chappy is okay, but just make sure you balance it out with some real honest sincerity. This is a lot to take in. Balancing all these qualities which seem at odds is difficult and will take practice. However, balance is essential, and it just might help you win your dating life back again. Trust that you will find it, and when you do, you will be master of your love life. Women love a confident, funny, balanced man. Trust that you've got what it takes. A combination of a positive mindset, confidence, humor, and sincerity is the key to success. Remember my little secret to you. When I finally figured out that it worked, it changed my dating life. Keep this secret safe and close by, and you will see the benefits and results. Next to love, balance is the most important thing. John Wooden. Chapter Takeaways. Feel positive about yourself and show it, but make sure your positive thoughts and attitude are balanced with humility and sincerity. Avoid transforming into a self-positivity Hulk. It may make you appear arrogant, materialistic, and only interested in yourself. Women want a balanced man who has the winning combination of positive, confident attitude, is comfortable being themselves, and is able to listen and engage in genuine conversation with humor and sincerity. Chapter 7. Getting what you actually want every time. Obviously, you want someone with a hot supermodel body, funny, loves sports, is a great cook, and who is actually fun to hang out with. Okay, let's maybe get a bit more specific and realistic while we're at it though. If you remember, we briefly touched on getting you thinking positively about the type of woman you would have an interest in by looking at the pros and cons of your past relationships. Now, I want you to try taking that a step further and get more specific. When you think about what you want, do you put any specific thought into that? When you think of what you want in a woman, or even in your approach, have you put details into it so can actually get it? More times than not, the answer is no, and now it's time to change that. Here's the deal, most of us guys never take the time to truly and deeply think of what we want in a woman. If we do, then it tends to be focused on just the physical and can almost border on disrespectful or rude. Don't go that route. This is your chance to write down what you want and not feel bad about it. This is just for your eyes only. You can write anything you want, as no one will see it unless you want them to. You have no reason to feel stupid about writing down what you want. You have more to gain than lose. Just try it and see for yourself, because this can be a really powerful exercise. Get over the feeling weird and try it for some powerful results. I can remember the first time that I actually wrote down what I wanted in a woman. I felt a little silly. Really, I should put my thoughts and desires into words. Who was this for, and what was the point of it? Well, the thing is that it's for you, and it can help you to get yourself together and zone in on what you really want. Specifically, taking time to have to think in order to write, will mean you have something to focus on when considering the successful approach to a lovely lady. It will also give you a concrete and real list to refer to in order to analyze. You will be able to look at what you want on paper, and then you can work towards going after it. You can review what you have written and look for what's lacking or what you are in need of. Then you can try to fill in the gaps and make plans for how to achieve your goals or wants. If you know what you have fallen short on or been missing out on in terms of things like your approach or relationships in general, then you can move forward with purpose to work on changing or fixing what's lacking. This probably sounds too good to be true, and it may even seem a little corny to you. I get it, man, nobody really likes to explore their thoughts or feelings. However, I'm going to challenge you though to try this out and see what it produces in your love life. It may not be something that happens overnight. What I can tell you though is that it will give you something to focus on. It will help you to cut through all the clutter and the BS and get to what you want and learn what you can actually contribute in the process. Chapter 8. Forgetting the stigma and making it happen. So how do you make this happen? How can you use the power of writing things down to elicit change? Well, here are some suggestions for a few ideas to get you started. Your list of needs will more than likely be totally different than mine. So look at this list and use it as a warm-up to get your thinking juices flowing. What I want to do here is help you to be a man who can actually get in touch with their thoughts and feelings and as a result win over the girl of your dreams. Even though society says a man can't get in touch with his thoughts and feelings, you will be able to do it. Getting in touch with yourself actually makes you more of a man, so try it and use these thought-provoking questions to get you started. Think of who you want to be in a relationship and be specific with what that means. If you know who you are and what you want, then you know the qualities in a woman that will fit with your perceived outlook in life. So ask yourself some tough questions like these. Do you prefer to have a more masculine role, doing the man jobs and looking after her? Or do you want to be equals? Perhaps you would prefer to be looked after by her. Do you want to have children and be a dad one day? Is family important to you? Do you have children and how will your potential partner fit in? Do you see yourself as the breadwinner, or are you comfortable with your potential partner having a career and you being a stay-at-home dad or house husband? Do you see yourself settling down, buying a house and living in the same place for most of your life, or would you like to travel, rent and live in different places? Are you independent and need time on your own a lot, or do you prefer a constant companion by your side that you share everything with? Picture the type of woman you would like to date. It's okay if you have immediately pictured a preference. Looks wise, we are but men after all. Get a bit more serious now and look at the picture of this woman in your head and give her some depth. Write down the sort of personality she might have. Would her career or family be important to her? What sort of hobbies, sports, foods etc. would she be interested in? Does she like to travel? What is her taste in music, clothing, decor, cars, food etc.? Do the things you picture from your ideal woman match the important things you want from life? If not, you need to change your idea of the perfect woman. Why, you ask? Well, obviously she won't be perfect if she doesn't match what you want from life, right? Think about your strengths in past relationships. Knowing your strengths will help you focus on the positives and increase your confidence when flirting. Write down some answers to the following. What did past partners like best about you? Was it a gentle touch in public, showing you were not afraid of public displays of affection, PDAs? Were you good at offering supportive words and advice? Did you always remember to take out the bin on a Thursday? Admittedly, some of these things are deep and some may not even apply to you. It is also not an exhaustive list, just something to get you started thinking and writing. The thing is that by writing down your thoughts and answering your questions you get some clarity. You get a vision of what you want and what you need to focus on. You understand what you may need to fix or what you need to focus on in a woman you want to flirt with. You can finally get rid of the awkward approach that lacks any finesse and go forward by learning what you need to change up. This is only the first step and you are going to learn a lot along the way, but it starts by doing some soul searching to think about what you really want and how you can change positively. It's actually quite liberating if you truly let yourself do this, write down answers and gain some insight from it. So, grow some real ones, go get a pen and paper and do it now. I know you are a man and have only read the questions so far and not actually written anything down. Chapter Takeaways: Writing goals and ideas down brings clarity and focus. This clarity and focus will help you determine what qualities you're looking for in a potential partner and make sure they also match your own. By writing ideas, goals, facts and feelings down, it can help you to think more clearly because you don't have to remember too many things or have too many thoughts at once. Writing gives an overview of a problem and makes it easier to find new ideas and connections to help solve the problem. You will be able to see if you are thinking positively or negatively about the issues. If you have tried to answer some of the suggested questions, you will have a start on a clear written outline of the positive qualities of both yourself and the woman you would like to date. Chapter 9. Cutting through the BS. Doing all this work, writing down answers, and getting in touch with yourself, it isn't going to work if you aren't honest. Cut through the BS and ask yourself, what do you want to get out of all of this? Sure, there's a chance that you've been meeting a bunch of women who weren't a match for you. Yes, there's a chance that there are some women out there who don't see you for what you are. But if you're being honest here, is this all the women's fault? Or do you think that maybe, just maybe, you play a role in this all? Cut out the ego part, and if you're really being honest, then there's probably something that you can do to change your fate. We're men and we don't like to be wrong. We don't like to be told what to do or have to read instructions on the box. We want to jump straight in and build the bookshelf or play with our new expensive toy. We don't want to talk about our feelings or get all mushy. We don't want to believe that we don't have kahunas big enough to do something intimidating. We want to blame the women for not wanting to check out what a sweet guy we really are. It's so much easier to blame the chicks for your crappy dating life. However, the answers to why your flirting isn't so great lie within you. For real, if you're honest about things. About who you are, then you are going to get something out of this process and end up much happier and more successful with women. Honesty isn't always easy, but it is necessary. Try thinking through past relationships or even just chance meetings with women. Are you the type of guy who freezes up? Are you the guy who tries too hard? Do you come off as conceited and cocky? When you're taking inventory and really being honest here, you need to think of how you're coming off. If you got this book to improve upon your flirting and conversation skills, then what was going wrong before? I will admit this was a hard one for me to think through. Who wants to admit that he's to blame and has no game? Who wants to admit that he tends to crash and burn whenever he sees a woman he's interested in? Who wants to say that he's going after the wrong type of women and therefore ending up completely down and out? It's nothing that we want to think about or face head on. It's like an admission of guilt or a recognition that you did something wrong. This isn't the blame game, but this is how you get to where you want to be. It all starts with being honest with yourself, with your abilities, and getting the right ladies to be interested. Being entirely honest with oneself is a good exercise. Sigmund Freud. Chapter Takeaways: Don't blame others for your dating woes. Focus on yourself. Be honest with your answers and you will get the best results. Don't be embarrassed, you are the only one who has to know you are reading this book and completing the questions. Chapter 10. Your approach. This is the only way to change things up. Okay, maybe that last part was a little harsh on you. Sometimes reality has to bite a bit though to enact change. However, I really don't want you to start negative self-talk or feel totally rotten about the state of current affairs. The intent of this book is not to make you feel horrible or like you did something wrong. It's for you to recognize and learn from past mistakes. It's just currently you may not even know that you were doing things wrong. Maybe it's that you don't even realize where your game is completely falling apart. Or maybe you have been your own harshest critic and it's not as bad as you actually think. Nevertheless, you picked out this book for a reason, so it's time to break things down even more and get real with yourself. Not sure how to do that? Feel uncertain when it comes to figuring out what you even need to get real about? Yeah, I get that. I had a difficult time doing this myself. However, if you tried honestly writing down the qualities you want from a future partner, then you have made an excellent start. Now we will try examining, in a little more detail, the next step in mastering the art of flirting, the approach. I can remember thinking back on what my approach was like. I cringed thinking about how I froze and how I had such a hard time even talking to a woman. Not only that, but when I did get up the nerve to approach a woman, I found that I didn't have the first clue about how to talk to her or what to talk about. In hindsight, I was going after the completely wrong woman for me because I hadn't taken stock of what I really wanted. I felt completely down and out, like I would never get better at this whole dating thing. At that moment though, I realized that I had to be honest with myself, and I was. I got tough on myself in the sense that I wanted to grow, and I decided that this was the time to do it. Chapter 11. Taking responsibility for your life, stop the excuses. Ready to start getting real? This is where you stop getting in your own way. This is where you take responsibility for your life. Own it like a real man. You are going to have to stop making excuses or rationalizing or justifying things as being the result of outside factors. You probably don't think that you're guilty of this, but we've all done it before. However, this just might be the type of behavior that is keeping you from getting what you really want, women. If you give in to the excuses, then you are only hurting yourself. Let's start with a little honesty and inventory here and really look at what has caused you to get to where you are. Sure, a lot of us aren't just great at talking to women, but with practice and the right skills, this can be changed. Admittedly, it can be a very intimidating thing and we struggle to figure out what exactly we're supposed to say. I have sat where you are right now and felt that isolation and frustration, but you don't have to give in to that anymore. Conversation is hard enough, so flirting probably feels like it's a world away. How are you supposed to wow a woman before you in just a matter of moments? This is about you and nobody else is to blame. Here's a little shot of truth to show you what I mean. I'll start with a little story about Mike. He was always a super outgoing guy, or so it seemed. He was fun to be around, seemed confident enough, and I thought he really had his stuff together. Then one day, I witnessed him trying to approach a hot woman and I realized, this boy has no game whatsoever. He stumbled, he tried to overcompensate, and even when he did have a good conversation starter, he ended up blowing it at the end. What just happened? I couldn't believe what I had just witnessed, I was in total shock. What do you think Mike's reaction was to this situation? When the girl smiled politely, turned and walked away, he shrugged his shoulders, was a total jerk, and said, whatever, your loss, probably not even into men. Yup, it was at that moment that I knew he was blaming everyone else but himself for what was going on in his dating life. Chapter 12. The truth about all this. I heard him retelling the story later on to the guys, and as you might expect, it was a really skewed view of the whole situation. He called her stuck up and cold, and he said that he was sick of approaching super hot girls because they were always that way. I didn't call him out, but I could see him making every possible excuse to get himself out of looking like he was to blame for the crash and burn situation. He was not good with the ladies, but rather than admitting that, he would much rather blame it on the girl or whatever else he claimed was getting in the way. I saw for myself, many times, that he was lying to us. However, the main problem was he was lying to himself. This was how he coped with a crappy situation. Can you relate to Mike? Have you ever been the guy who has a million reasons why they don't have a girlfriend, none of which have to do with them? Is it the wrong club, the worst party, the rudest woman, or anything other excuses that comes to mind? Yeah, I know. We don't necessarily see them as excuses, but that is exactly what they are through and through. This is where I came into the equation. I talked to Mike later on in private. I gave him the truth bomb. I told him from where I was standing he was blaming the woman, the situation, the environment, or any other number of reasons, when it appeared that it was his approach and flirting skills that were at fault. This is pretty much like what my role is going to be with you. Yes, I could keep stroking your ego and spare your feelings, but sitting you down and telling you the truth about blame will help you get on track in a much more efficient way. We've all given excuses, but it's time to break free of them. So how do you change this around? How do you finally quit the excuses and start figuring out what is getting lost along the way? To start, I want you to look at the positive flirting situations you have been in, because remember, we are trying to have a positive mindset. You will also have to look at your negative experiences, which can be more difficult, but you only learn best through mistakes. When I decided it was time to stop the blame, I went through the below exercise and I ask you to try it too. Start thinking about positive situations where you have managed to successfully get your flirt on. Try writing down all the successful things you did when you approached the woman. Perhaps she even approached you. How did you get her attention? What was your body language like? How were you dressed? Where did the situation occur? A bar, sporting event, office water cooler. What do you think it was about you that got and kept her attention? Now think about what you are currently doing. If you are trying to improve by reading this book, I'm assuming it's not working out for you recently. What's different now than when you have been successful? Why do you think women aren't noticing you? What are you doing, saying that you think is flirting? What is her reaction to this? Compare your successful flirting to the not-so-successful ones. What plan can you make that incorporates more of your successful elements? Try thinking about and writing down how you can try to get what you want in your love life. So you have looked at some of the positive instances flirting has worked. But let's look a little more at your current approach and analyze it a bit deeper. Yeah, I know you're resisting. You may not like it, and it may be a little painful at first, but trust me that it's going to give you some answers that you need. In honesty comes the insight that can help you to get to where you want to be. Take the easier route and learn from me because I have already amassed a catalog of errors that I have learned from, and yes, I'm not afraid to admit that I made them. Again, the strongest men get honest, get real, and then learn how to change things up moving forward. You can do the same thing. Start to think of your own role in the encounters you have with women. What happens when you see a woman that you are interested in? Yeah, sure, it's much easier to think it's all about the woman and it's her fault. I've been guilty of that myself, but stop it. Think of who you are in this scenario and what type of role you play. Think of how you act, how and if you talk, and what sort of vibe you think you're putting out there. What do you say when you come face to face with a woman that you're interested in? How do you think you come across to a woman that you're interested in? Be honest on this one especially. Take it a step further and think about how she is responding to you and the way that you act. If you are really honest here and see it for what it is, you can stop rationalizing what is going wrong. You can start to face the truth and see things for exactly what they are. I hate to tell you this. But this is the only way that you learn and grow and get the woman that you're interested in to take a second look at you. What stands in the way of you getting a girl to be interested in you? Consider what you count as the recurring theme for not winning over women. Every guy has a reason why he is sure he's single. Maybe you claim that you want to be single, even though you know that you don't believe that. Maybe you are sick of the whole dating scene or the games and so you need a break. Maybe you are constantly finding some reason why you aren't winning over women. These can end up being a recurring theme or pattern that you often point to, and if you really honestly face them you will see them for the excuses that they are. You must identify them first so that you can get past them and find better ways of coping and taking action. Chapter 13. The skills to interact successfully. Think about what happens from the time you approach a woman to the time she turns you down. This is where it all gets real because you have to break down the entire interaction. Don't fear it but face it because this is the only way you are going to get better. Think about what goes on from the moment that you try to talk to her. Do you even try to approach her or do you just put that off? When you do talk to her, are you trying to overcompensate or be somebody that you think you should be? Do you turn into a bumbling idiot? If it's always her fault or just not the right time, then you know that you have some excuses to deal with. Yeah, I know nobody wants to take the blame off of somebody else and put it on themselves, but it's got to be done. What could you change that you think might make a difference with women? Think about the encounter as a whole and think about what you might be blaming for the wrong reasons. If you're really being honest, you can usually cut through the clutter to see what sort of excuses you keep going to. These are the things that are actually holding you back. If you are constantly blaming the woman or the timing or whatever else, then these are very likely contributing factors. If you just sit it out because you are sure that she's going to say no, then you are shooting yourself down before you even get a chance. If you are blaming other guys for stealing the hot girl that you saw first, that's another excuse. If there are things that you can point to every single time which you are sure are to blame for you never getting the woman, then you need to quit the blame game and own up to your own responsibility. Excuses won't get you anywhere, but they will stop you from getting what you want, so be done with them. What are you really honestly looking for in a woman? Be honest here too and go beyond just a hot one. What do you think that a woman like that is interested in? How can you be a guy that women are attracted to and interested in? How can you stand out from the crowd and win women over? What does flirting mean to you and how can you get better at it? How do you think that flirting can help you to win a woman over? Yeah, I know it's a ton of questions and you don't necessarily have to answer all of them. The only thing is though, that if you want to change up your approach and your outcome, you have to think through what has been happening. Being truthful with yourself is the only way to get to the heart of the issue. I struggled with it too, but once you uncover the roadblocks and the issues that have been holding you back, then you can get to the good stuff. There's some really good stuff too. Imagine the thrill of experiencing a successful good flirt. Nothing boosts your ego and confidence quite like it. You will amaze yourself at how your approach can take shape and how you actually get the girl. All that by being honest with yourself and taking the time to look at what has been happening. Yup, the best is yet to come. Chapter Takeaways: Stop blaming women and other excuses. You are responsible only for yourself. Analyzing your positive and negative approaches to women from the past will help you figure out what works and what doesn't in your approach to women. Moving forward, when you have found the answers, you can create a plan to overcome the negative and positives of your flirting approach. Chapter 14. Underneath it all, lies this. This is about you, and the reoccurring theme here is that I am going to tell you that sometimes you have to look at yourself when you are trying to figure out what's gone wrong. Yeah, I get it. Up until you looked honestly at your excuses and possible blame games, you were probably free from fault, right? You thought you were in the right. Or you were the guy who had figured it all out and you were alone by choice, huh? Come on, man. Let's get real. You probably could be God's gift to women, but let's do a little digging here, shall we? Okay, so yes, there are some men who don't want a commitment. There can be so many reasons why that is, and that's for you to figure out if you have commitment issues. If you don't like the idea of commitment or it freaks you out and you break out in hives, you may want to do a little investigating as to why that is. Speaking from experience, I'll give it to you straight, commitment isn't that big or scary of a thing. If you have visions of a ball and chain or you feel like you'll be living in a personal jail in a relationship, then you may want to examine why you are reading this book. As I stated earlier, this is not for the players. It is a guide to flirting with an end goal of further dates and relationship possibilities. I digress though, but I will say the right commitment with the right woman isn't a chore, so let's just leave it at that. This is where you have to admit things that you're not crazy about. If you are alone, I understand it may be by design and not because you are just looking to get into a woman's bed. Maybe it's that you've been hurt before, though being a manly man, you don't want to admit that. Maybe it's that you haven't found a woman who knocks your socks off. I get that too, because sometimes it's a matter of finding that woman who takes your breath away. No, finding the right one may not be like in the movies, but it should elicit some amazing reactions. It may be that you are alone because you're still figuring it all out and therefore you're just being cautious and don't want to jump in too soon. Fair enough. However, here's another thing that you are less likely to admit openly and truthfully: you may be alone because you have no game. Gasp. Yes, there is a slight chance that you are currently just useless at flirting. You don't know how to work it with the ladies. You have no clue as to how to flirt, and simply put, you are a dating disaster. Yeah, this is not an area that we guys love to deal with. We feel like a failure and we feel like less of a man when we aren't quite sure of how to deal with the ladies. I know it looks like some guys are naturals, but trust me, they have either had to work at it or are just so good looking that the ladies forgive their bad flirting skills whilst being temporarily dazzled by their good looks. Trust me, women are not easily fooled though, and if an amazing looking dude has no substance, he will not last. There is good news though for the rest of us average to above average men: you have come to the right place to deal with this issue, so you can only go up from here. We all have flaws and issues, so figure yours out, man. The bottom line is that you need to figure out what the exact underlying problem is. Thinking through why you are alone, why you seem to mess things up with women, and why you can't quite land a woman that you're interested in, can give you some serious insight. It's time to investigate this, and I promise you it will only be painful or slightly cringy for a minute. It's like ripping off a band-aid, so put on your big boy pants and let's get started with this investigative part of the process. I am here to tell you that we all have something that keeps us from landing the woman. We all have flaws, faults, annoying habits, negative traits, or some other element that holds us back from being in a happily committed relationship. We all have something that makes us feel negative or keep us at an everlasting single status. It's okay, you're not a freak because you're alone without wanting to be. At least you're now actually doing something to make your life better, and so this is where you get to figure out what is keeping you from being your best. Face it, deal with it, fix it, and get your game on. Now, don't go beating yourself up. Don't freak out on me here because yes, I too have my own flaws. The only way that I ended up getting happy in relationships was to get to the heart of my issues and then fix them. It's not just enough to recognize and say that you have issues. You also have to work at alleviating them or improving upon them. So I am here to get you at the starting stage with figuring out what your biggest problem areas may. You should find that this can be enlightening and very helpful. Start at square one and take these baby steps. You can do this. Ask yourself some of these questions and figure out which of these may apply to you, or at least use these as idea starters. You may find that a couple of these apply to you, and that's cool. You may even find that this just gets you headed down the right path to figuring out what the hell is going on. You are your own person and you will have that aha moment of figuring out your biggest underlying problem. When you have, then you can move forward towards having some game and landing the woman that has all the right qualities to match yours. Chapter 15. Fast Solutions to Fix Your Problems with Women. Sit back, grab a notebook, be serious here, and figure this out. Let's figure out why the ladies are not seeing you as the catch you are. You may find some of these apply or are totally not you, but this at least helps you to get started with fixing what seems to be broken. Freezing up. Oh yeah, a lot of us can totally relate to this one. You see her, you so badly want to talk to her, you would love to try and land a date with her, and then you turn mute when you approach her. You may stumble over your words, or you may just find that you haven't a clue as to what to say. Is this a recurring theme every time you face a woman that you are interested in? Females probably say you're a really good friend. Sound about right? This is a case where you really need to get out of your own way. Good for you for recognizing if this is you, because it's not easy. However, if you freeze up and you recognize it, then you can only work to improve that. It comes with getting your mojo and confidence back and starting to take control over how flirting and conversation skills. Over-enthusiastic. You can face her and even engage in conversation for a minute or two. Then you want to wow her or win her over, so you try a bit of flirting and your game falls apart right there in front of your eyes. You are crashing and burning big time, man. Instead of trying to win her over and show her you're a cool guy, you chase her away. You may try to be funny and it falls flat. You may try to use body language and you look like a nut job. If you overthink flirting, or if you aren't really sure how to use it, then you can be a victim of flirting going wrong. Don't let this happen to a good guy like you, but you know what, admitting it is the first step in surviving it. You can get this problem fixed and become a master at saying very little but letting flirting do the work of winning her over. Wow, it's pretty cool when you come to this point negative and unconfident. Yeah, we're men and so we're supposed to naturally be super confident, right? Except that when you face it head on, that's not exactly how it goes. Society tells you that you should be this totally in control guy that knows all the right things to say and do. Deep down though, you are constantly doubting yourself. Only women are supposed to feel insecure and lack confidence though, right? Wrong, come on man, that's such an outdated view of the world. Yes, men lack confidence and doubt themselves. Yes, we feel like we don't have what it takes. Yes, we feel subconsciously like we are never going to win her over, because why would she pick us? Why would she want to talk to us? These thoughts plague us unless we learn to shut them up. You can learn to tell those thoughts to get out of here. Remember about the positive mindset. You have to realize that you're one hell of a guy for women to realize it. Give yourself a little self-love and suddenly you are that confident guy that can use flirting and good conversation to win her over. It's so awesome when it happens too. Trouble closing. You're probably the guy who says that you don't really want a relationship anyhow. You may even think that this is a cool thing that you can't be held down. Yes, Mr. Cool Guy must admit that when you can't convert the flirting into the close of getting a date, it just kind of sucks. Maybe you feel like crap because you know deep down that something is going terribly wrong. You may be able to chat it up with her, but then you can't keep things going for the longer term. It's much easier to blame her, but the reality is that you know that you are partially responsible. So how do you fix this? You admit that something is going wrong along the way and that you really do want a relationship to work. Yeah, even you, the guy who has it all figured out and can flirt, wants to figure this out and make it right. It benefits you and the woman that you end up with too. Commitment phobe. Get real. What makes you so afraid of commitment in the first place? Maybe you had parents that were divorced or who had a less than stellar relationship. Maybe you got hurt before and though you hate to admit it, you are super afraid of it happening again. Maybe just maybe you have intimacy issues or trust issues or you don't let people get too close. No guy likes to be vulnerable and certainly doesn't want to ever get hurt. So try and let go of your ego and lower your guard for a bit. Figuring out why your commitment issues exist in the first place will mean you can get to the heart of the issue. Something is keeping you from being happy or even wanting to be in a relationship. Fix this and fix it quickly so you can get to the good stuff and stop shooting yourself down before you even get started. Nobody is as perfect as you. Okay, yeah, she wasn't a great woman and the relationship wasn't so good anyways. No, I'm sure you don't care that you're alone or that women don't talk to you at the bar. It's her loss, it's their problem, and you're just fine being single, except that really you're not. Oh, I get it, and I have been the one to blame the woman or every other possible scenario in the world besides myself. But when you start to see that maybe, just maybe, you are part of the problem, you can find a workable solution. It may be time to take stock of the fact you are not saying anything interesting, but if you're perfect, it's far easier to blame the women you're trying to talk to. Be honest here, own up to your own issues, and see that for once in your life you do have flaws. But they can be fixed if you learn to accept and recognize them. Again, we all have flaws and we all have things we have to work at. If you want to become a better flirt or a more interesting conversationalist, then you need to work at it. This only comes after you recognize what exactly is holding you back. I get why you might want to run the other way from it. Once you face it and figure out how to fix it though, you are more of a man and you are going to get to where you want to be. Yup, it really is that simple, though you have to put in the work. Chapter Takeaways: Everyone has flaws. Use some of the discussed underlying issues to help you to start thinking about and possibly recognizing some of your own. When you have identified underlying issues, you can make a plan to tackle them and move forward. Chapter 16. No more negative outcomes. I'm gonna take a stab in the dark here and say you are probably not a professional athlete, you're not famous, nor a celebrity, and you probably don't own your very own Fortune 500 company. You are a normal guy just like me. Normal guys make up most of the male population. We're not one of those guys who have incredible wealth or status. So why in the world would you compare yourself to them? Why would you try to be one of them or measure yourself against them? If you are guilty of doing this, stop it now. Even if you don't compare yourself to the rich and famous, most of us are all guilty of comparing ourselves to our friends' successes. It might be that you see your friends as getting all the girls. Or that they seem to be super confident or successful. Just because your friend or some guy you know seems to be perfect, doesn't mean that he really is. So why would you want to compare yourself to him when you don't even know the whole true story? If you dig a little deeper behind the scenes, I think you will see most of the time that the grass is always greener and things are not always as they seem. That guy that you see who always brings a woman home from the bar isn't as happy and lucky as he appears. Sure, he has loads of one-night stands and has loads of cred with the guys, but what you don't see is that he really wants to be in a secure relationship. The good-looking fella who seems to always have the ladies approaching him non-stop doesn't have any conversation skills and no clue what to say to women in that moment. Things are not always how they appear, and it's very important that you keep this in mind if you have a tendency to compare yourself to others. Naturally, you will always want to save face, protect your ego, and do whatever it takes to come off looking suave and cool. If you're spending your time wishing or wanting to be someone else, you're always only looking at half of the equation. You're not seeing him when he is low, doubtful, and unconfident like the rest of us mere, normal men. Men don't really talk about this stuff because we want to be portrayed as macho. However, everything is not always the perfect picture a lot of us portray to one another. Nearly all of us are on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, etc. These platforms are the perfect example of just what I'm talking about in only seeing half the picture. People are not going to post about how difficult they find it to approach a woman or put a picture up of them sitting at home clipping their toenails in skid-stained underwear. No, they are going to boast about chat-up successes and post-gym workout gains. So keep this in mind if you are comparing yourself to other men. Forget about what you see because it's only part of the story. Nobody has it perfect, and so it's time to face this head-on and recognize that comparing yourself to somebody doesn't give you a good standard or even an accurate picture. Not to mention the fact that this is about you and nobody else. So let's deal with this common and pretty harmful behavior that many of us men engage in. You may not even realize you do it, but this is something you need to stop before it becomes too ingrained in your self-image. Jealousy and even bitter sentiments can take over faster than you might realize. Recognize if you are in fact comparing yourself to others, that you need to get away from that bad habit quickly. Here are a few things that can help you. Make this about you. Oh, for the love of God, man, listen to me on this one. This isn't about anybody else. Do you want to become a better conversationalist? Do you want to win over the women? Do it because you want to do that and not because you long to be like somebody else. Do it because you feel that you want to improve your life. Stop making it about somebody else or being like somebody else or wishing that you had what somebody else has. This is about you and only you, and the sooner you realize that the better off you will be. If you're trying to improve your game for somebody else or to try to mirror what somebody else is doing, it won't work. You have to be you. Be original. Be unique, own up to the man that you are, and then work at making that the best. What a huge relief it is to realize that this is your journey to create and not for anybody else to play a hand in. Whoa, life-altering ideas here. Recognize that things are not always how they seem. Oh God, how you wish that you were out on that date with that hot girl. You wish that you were the guy who could always get phone numbers at the bar. You wish that you were the guy who women seem to swoon over and die for the chance to meet. Remember what I told you though. Just because things appear a certain way doesn't mean that they are based in reality. You might only be seeing one small piece of it. You might only be getting a part of the story. So if you constantly focus on these guys or these lives that you so desperately wish you had, you are missing out on what you might be creating. Yeah, I know it's easy for me to say it, right? You want to be that guy, but instead of comparing yourself to him, maybe you should try creating that life if you really truly want it. Maybe you should start thinking of how to make your vision a reality and quit trying to be like Joe Blow, who is actually pretty lame if you dig past the surface. Yup, I guarantee you that if Joe Blow seems all that on his social media platforms, he is more than likely a complete lame-ass in real everyday life he doesn't show. Comparing yourself to others makes you unable to see your own great things. Hey, listen to me carefully here. Come on, lean in, and really listen. You already are a great guy. The very fact that you want to make yourself better or learn how to talk to women in a fun, flirty, respectful manner makes you better than most. So if you could just see your own great qualities, you just might get away from the nasty habit of putting yourself down by comparing yourself to somebody else. What makes him so special anyhow? What makes him such a great guy? Why do you think that he has it so much better than you do? And even if he is so great, why can't you be great? You can actually be even better than him. Yes, it's true and I believe it, so why don't you? This is where a lack of confidence comes in, which totally works against you. Though you may not see it, you are keeping yourself from being great. So quit the comparisons and face the fact that you have some pretty cool things about you that you should highlight so women can see it too. Positivity is key. Comparative behavior can totally cloud your vision. One of the biggest ways that men struggle with flirting or conversation, in general, is to get stuck in their own heads. Quit it. Quit it right now. You can become so obsessed with comparing yourself to somebody else that you lose sight of what you want. Yeah, think about that for a moment and let it sink in. This is not good productive behavior, and it's certainly not going to get you to where you want to be. This is the type of behavior that is going to keep you from getting ahead and cause you to crash and burn. If you're sick of sitting on the sidelines, then don't do it anymore. Be the individual who can say that you want this for yourself and you are willing to put in the work to get to where you want to be. Even the celebrities or the other half are nothing to be compared to. Oh, you think that famous athletes or actors have their life, right? Do you know what you're not seeing? You are not seeing what life is like when they are not in front of the camera. You might think that they are the ultimate player dating somebody different every week. The reality of the situation, however, may be that they are actually totally unhappy with who they are. They may wish for a normal life because life in the public eye can be totally stressful in so many ways. They may not know the first thing about holding a relationship or getting a normal girl. You also have to keep in mind that their reality is way different than yours. They get to do cool things, but they are also under public scrutiny all the time. They may even be envious of a normal guy living a normal life. But this is about you, and if you try to be like the rich and famous, you are going to feel let down about it at some point, and that does not encourage positivity. You are going to find that it's unrealistic to live like that. So once you accept your reality and stop worrying about how the other half lives, you can actually focus on the great things you have before you. Yup, I said it, you do have some great things right before you, and it's time to start embracing them and making them your own. This isn't anybody else's life to live, it's yours. If you are sick of sitting on the sidelines and wishing you were somebody else, then stop doing it. The more that you compare yourself to others, the more you keep from enjoying what you have to offer. Yup, even you, the guy who is sure that living somebody else's life would be better, have something positive to focus on in yourself. Comparisons are boring, so be original and own what that means. The minute you let go of wishing or wanting what somebody else has is the minute that you get to start enjoying your own life. I know it's hard to ignore your friend who seems to have everything. I am here to tell you though that he doesn't, and those appearances are not always what they seem. Let it go and make this your own journey that you get to enjoy living for a change. This is where you get to the good stuff, gain some confidence, and move forward with purpose, and trust me, the ladies are going to notice this big time. Happiness is found when you stop comparing yourself to other people. Anonymous. Chapter Takeaways: Comparing yourself to others is unhealthy and unhelpful. The successful, happy, and perfect image other men portray is usually only half the picture. It is the picture they want people to see. Be original and true to yourself. Celebrate your best features and qualities. Chapter 17. The vital strengths and skills and how to obtain them fast. Okay, here is another part that is going to be a little bit uncomfortable. Don't freak out on me because I'm not asking you to do anything extreme like running naked across a field. I'm asking you to think positively about what makes you special or unique. I'm asking you to put yourself into the mind of a woman. Gasp. Truth isn't always easy to face, especially when you have to see something positive about yourself. Yes, if you can think of this from a woman's perspective, then you can get some serious insight here. Think of what makes you a good catch. Yup, I'm asking you to get confident, get strong, get self-assured, and put yourself into a positive mindset. It sounds like a lot, but before you start hyperventilating, know that this is not that hard and it can be a huge exercise in power. This is you taking control over something you are not great at and having the strength to see something really positive about yourself for a change. Oh yeah, you're a pretty cool dude and you need to see that. You are a great-looking guy. You have so much going on for you. You have some seriously cool things about you. Wow, almost sounds like I'm hitting on you or acting like a motivational speaker. However, what I am trying to do though is to help you to see that each of us has something pretty unique and cool about us that we should share with the world. It may sound silly or unnecessary, but you have to think about what your selling points are in order to advertise them and for women to recognize it. Once you start to change your focus, great things happen. Yes, this ties into having a good positive mindset as we discussed earlier. Once you have changed to a positive thought process, you need to physically display or act upon it. Advertising your great features is where you take it one step further. It's an important thing to be aware of and work on. It can take you to a point where you can and do embrace the positive features of what makes you the person that you are. Result? The rest of the people around you will notice. I am not unrealistic here though, and I fully understand that recognizing what you bring to the table is not an easy thing for many of us to do. Especially if you have lacked confidence and used negative talk as a large part in your life to date. Sure, there's a segment of the male population who will always be complete egomaniacs. Clearly, we're not talking about them, though I will say that they are often trying to overcompensate or even cover up something they are also unconfident about too. Everybody has something valuable, special, or unique about them. I'm not going to tell you it will be easy to see your own self-worth. I'm not going to tell you that it's easy to see yourself from a woman's point of view. We'll get to what women want in later chapters. For right now though, you really and truly need to focus on what makes you so great. This is not you being egotistical but rather you seeing what a woman might be interested in. This is also an exercise in boosting your own self-confidence and seeing what the female populace can find intriguing about you. If you need a little help, here are some great idea starters to get you going. Think of something that you really like about yourself and highlight it. Seriously, there's something there. You probably think you don't have that special something, but you do. You probably feel like this is even cheesy to be thinking about, but it's not. It can be anything to get you started. Try thinking of something physical, intellectual or skillful, but make sure it's something unique and original about you. A good way to get into a woman's way of thinking is to maybe ask yourself, if someone asked my mother this question, what would she answer for me? Yes, your mother, although perhaps a bit biased, is a woman with a woman's perspective. Every single one of us has something that we should highlight about ourselves. This ties into the idea of self-love equals others loving you. The same holds true here, for if you can find something that you actually like about yourself, then others will follow suit. You get the added benefit of actually liking yourself too, and that's kind of cool. Think of something that is unique about you and focus on why it matters. You are the product being offered to prospective women. From a business perspective, how can you sell yourself? If you have to explain a particular product feature in business, you have to look at the feature and say, so what? Why does this feature matter to the buyers? As you yourself are a marketable product for women, what's so good about you and why? You need to show them what you've got and wow them. What's your main selling point? What's your greatest feature or something unique about you that others don't have? What do you have to offer that nobody else can? More importantly, why will women like this about you? It might sound ridiculous at first, but think of what a woman might care about in a man and why. Put yourself into this frame of mind when highlighting your best features. She wants to know what makes you tick and she needs to see what makes you such a great catch. If you recognize this about yourself and you're not conceited about it, then it will boost your confidence and make talking to women so much easier. Sell it, dude. Think of what a woman might care about. If you have figured out your own personal goals and values in life and the same in the woman you would like to meet, then you are 90% there on this one. Hopefully, if you have been honest with yourself, then the woman you are seeking will have similar values and therefore care about similar things to you. Hey presto, You will already know what your kind of woman will care about and want to discuss with you. This is because in earlier parts of this book you have done some of the hard work already. There is something that is going to attract a woman to you initially, so if you haven't figured out what that is yet, go back to previous chapters, and dude, do your homework. If you're a good student and have done this already, then recognize what you've got and that it's going on, brother. Let it shine in a way that she will care about. Then the good conversation will start up and soon there will literally be no stopping you. Turn a negative into a positive where your mindset is concerned. This will shine through if you do it right. There's a good chance that you have struggled with a certain aspect of yourself up to this point. There's a good reason why talking to women is something that you don't exactly excel at. Obviously, you are reading this book because you need a little help in this area. So what is it about you that makes you feel less than confident? What is it about you that makes you fear talking to women? Why do you struggle with flirting in general? Whatever your drawbacks or weaknesses are, there's always a way to turn those into positives. You might not realize that this is possible, but think about it like this. The shy guy who never really knew how to talk to women is probably a good listener and careful in how he approaches conversation. This is a quality many women love. The guy who thought he wasn't funny actually has a great sense of humor when he relaxes and lets himself cut loose a bit. Women love to laugh. The guy who felt intimidated by women was actually a huge magnet because he wasn't trying too hard. Women can be intrigued by the quiet guy with manners and integrity. You can turn almost anything negative into a positive if you stop and think about it for a couple of minutes. You just have to be willing to change your mindset, think of how it relates to women, and embrace your inner strength and confidence about what makes you great. You are a hell of a guy and it's time you own that so women will want to as well. Chapter 18. Putting it all together. Pull it all together and women will totally notice. I know you probably think a lot of this stuff is repetitive, but sometimes as the male of the species, it takes us a while for it to get through our thick manly skulls. I know I sound like a broken record and I'm totally cool with that because we learn easily through repetition. It's time to start loving yourself if you want women to do the same. It's time to figure out what it will take to be a good conversationalist. When you have properly identified whatever your weaknesses are, it's time to overcome them. It's time to start feeling comfortable in your own skin and confident in who you are. Trust me, when you get to this point, women will start to take notice and then it's all in your hands. This is such a cool part of the process, and when you figure out what makes you great, let it shine for the world to see. Okay, I sound like a total cornball, but I don't even care if it helps to get through to you about what you need to do here. Stop putting yourself down and start figuring out what makes you great. I love what I do in helping guys like you come out of your shell and celebrate your positive qualities. Embracing your true self radiates a natural beauty that cannot be diluted or ignored. Confident, powerful, untamable badass you. Steve Marabolt. Chapter Takeaways. Try seeing your best qualities from a female perspective. Think about yourself as a product. What is the product's main features? Who is your target audience? What do they want/need to get from the product? How are you going to sell and show the product meets their requirements? Why would they care about this product? You have to love and believe in yourself for women to do the same. Chapter 19. Changing your dating life, today. What are you waiting for? No, like really, are you waiting for an embossed invitation? I hate to tell you this, but it won't happen. Try as you might, you can't just will change to happen. You can't wish for it or just really want for it. You have to make it happen. This isn't something that somebody else can do for you, and really do you want them to? So if you are a procrastinator or even a little apprehensive, now is the time to make some serious changes to get the life and the relationships that you really want. You do not need permission or authorization to change your life. You don't need a sign from above to change your style or adapt to enhancements or changes that will improve your life. This is your choice and your right, and therefore nobody else can do it for you. Think about this for a while. This is not up to somebody else. Looking for approval will only keep you from getting to where you want to be. This isn't always easy for some of us because we feel that we need to check in with others. We want to make sure we have approval from our friends, from our trusted colleagues, or even from our family members. Don't get this confused with asking for advice or seeking opinions from the people you trust. That is always a good thing to help you consider all options, but don't let them tell you what to do. You have to make your own choices and decisions to change. Nobody else can or should tell you what to do or where to go. So by now you should have had a good think and written down some things about what you want in your relationships and in your life. You have taken a bit of inventory and done some soul searching. I know, it was hard for you, but you're still here to tell the tale. You've survived coming to terms with those pesky feelings. Great job, bro. Now it's time to start to put this all into action. There are multiple steps to this part of the process, but it begins in the here and now. Use your new knowledge and ability to put this all together and move forward. Far too many of us often find ourselves stuck in a holding pattern. We may know what we want but feel fearful or unsure of how to go after it. Not that we even admit this. God forbid a man to be vulnerable or have fears. We may really want to talk to women, but the idea of rejection overwhelms us and forces us to hold back. If you wait for something or someone, you will never get anywhere. So it's much easier in these instances to just say forget it, I'll just wait for somebody to tell me what to do. It's easier to say that you need a sign or some sort of nudge of approval. You could spend your whole life waiting, but what are you going to get out of that? Stop waiting and start doing, because this is your life to take a hold of. Okay, maybe I sound like a bit of a pushy motivational speaker, but that's not my intent. Okay, well, it's kind of my intent, but I need you to wake up and get moving forward. Trust me, it may be outside of your comfort zone at first, but it will be so cool and so worth it. Put your money where your mouth is. How can you put your thoughts and the changes you would like to make into action? How can you make these changes and decide that now is the time? How can you get to be the guy that you want to be without waiting for a perfect sign? Here's how it all comes together and helps you to decide that you can and will change your style and your life for true improvement. Ignore any negative feedback. You may hear put-downs or even jokes about how you have zero flirting skills. You may hear people rumbling and telling you how you are silly for trying to change that. You may hear people tell you not to waste your time or to just be yourself. However, this isn't about them, this is for you to decide upon and move forward. So ignore any negative feedback you may receive. Truthfully, half the time that negative feedback comes from a jealous or deflated person. The other half comes from your friends and from a place of goodness, where they think they are helping you by saying you don't need to change. However, deep down you know you need to change. So you will need to get tough, listen to your instinct, and ignore the people who have negative things to say about your life choices. Make this all about you. Here's the thing, you are not doing this for anybody else. You're not even doing this for that hot girl that you meet at the bar that you want to know how to impress. Your main motivation should be that you are doing this for yourself, for your ability to improve your life, for your desire to make effective change and become a happier person, and to have better relationships with women. If you can look at it that way, then it will get you a lot further. You aren't doing this for one other single person. Give yourself permission to be selfish. This means that you get to focus on what you want, improve what you need, and therefore improve your approach, attitude, and demeanor moving forward. Other areas of your life will also benefit. Here's the thing, many men start down this path trying to just get a better game out of the process. It's unexpected that you find other benefits along the way. By learning what makes you great, you will also gain the benefit of added confidence in other areas of your life. Just like negativity breeds negativity, it works that way for the positive too. You will probably end up feeling like a whole new man, and that's a really good thing. You may have set out only wanting to learn how to flirt, but find that you are a much cooler person than you thought you were. When you make the first positive changes, the rest will be a stroll down easy street. Trust the process and know that you're doing this for the better of your love life and life overall. You're going to realize that you're way cooler than you thought you were. Yeah, I know right now it may sound like a lot of mumbo jumbo, but I swear if you follow my steps, it will all make sense. No, I'm not a life coach or some kind of amazing love guru, though I am a pretty cool guy. I'm not afraid to admit that because I have learned to love many things about myself. I know my strengths and always aim to show them to the best of my ability. Like I've said before, I am just a guy passing on what I know and giving you tips from my own experiences. I'll tell you here and now, you will only get out of this what you put into it. So go at it with gusto and quit procrastinating or blaming others. This is your thing, your journey, and these are your decisions to make and act upon. Ignore the negative Nellies because they are just annoying noises. Trust me, I've had my fair share of them too. People don't like change and so they tend to fear it when they see it. But when you decide that today is the day and you commit to making these changes without anybody's approval or nudge, then you know that you are truly doing this just for you. So consider this your notice served and a swift kick in the ass. Get up, get out, and make some changes now and quit waiting for approval. Work on it and you will make the changes happen. We cannot become what we want by remaining what we are. Max Dupree. Chapter Takeaways: Own your life. You don't need permission from others to make changes. It's okay to seek others' opinions on life changes, but don't let them decide for you. People generally don't like change and may be negative about chosen changes. Don't listen to negative Nellies. Try using some of the suggestions made to enact change. Do it now. Chapter 20. Unique ways of making a great first impression. A stunning first impression was not the same thing as love at first sight. But surely it was an invitation to consider the matter. Lois McMaster Bujold. I'm not going to beat around the bush here, making a great first impression is not easy. Sadly, it is usually your one and only chance to capture her attention and impress her enough to proceed with further conversation. This is why it can take a lot out of you and make you worry and wonder if you have what it takes. I'd love to tell you otherwise and not make a big deal out of it, but a good first impression is extremely important. The vibe that you give out, the way that you are perceived, and what that woman thinks of you matter greatly in regard to your future prospects with her. Maybe in the past, you did not necessarily feel that the way that you were first perceived mattered all that much. If this is you, then this is a great time to take inventory of what has happened to you in your first impression meetings up until now. You have to try to think of things from the other person's point of view. This may not be an exercise that you have ever really been through, but I want you to try and think of what goes down the first time that you met a woman. This can be any situation or context, and it can be pertinent to any type of relationship, work, friends, etc. Thinking of a few specific encounters to analyze is a good way to start. It could be likely that you make assumptions about how people perceive you and they may be altogether incorrect. It's time to make sure you know how you are presenting yourself to women for the first time by asking yourself some pressing questions. If you have never really paid that much attention and can't remember enough detail to answer the following questions, you will need to get yourself a recent encounter to focus on. Try talking casually with a female colleague or female acquaintance you don't know very well. There should be no intention other than to chat casually and see how they respond to you. You will know almost instantly if you are giving off a good vibe. You can tell by how receptive they are to staying and talking with you. Think also about how their body language was when responding to your presence. Oi, stop thinking dirty, I mean like leaning in to get closer or creating a barrier by folding their arms. Did they say or do anything that gave you indications as to whether they wanted to continue the conversation? These are just a few things to get you thinking about your previous encounters and ways in which you can read a situation which you may have never really considered before. It matters because reading a situation through body language and subtle things she may be saying can tell you how you come off the first time that you meet a new woman. If you can figure out the type of impression that you give off, then you can work to improve or fix what may be somewhat broken along the way. Understanding their thoughts and impression helps you to be who you want. Now take this a bit further and think about how you would describe how you come off to these women. Chances are if you are reading this book then you may find that women don't seem to get you or they don't seem to be interested in you. What is causing that? What is happening in your first conversation or encounter to make women think of you a certain way? There may be some favorable things that they see, but there are also obviously some things that need to be changed. I had a friend who thought he had it all figured out when it came to making that amazing first impression. Paul is his name and winning over the ladies was his game. He was pretty sure that he had it all figured out and that the ladies just loved him. He thought he was pretty suave and that he knew how to strike up an interesting conversation. He considered himself to be the go-to guy, even giving out advice to his friends. I watched in amusement as he would put himself out there night after night, using what he thought were stellar tactics. Learn from these examples. The thing is that Paul was always way over the top. He was confident but it came off as cocky. He was funny but he tried too hard by being too cheesy and that was a huge turn-off. He was a good guy, really, but he was so fixated on this impression that he thought he gave off that he never really stopped to think if it was working. He had convinced himself that he was a sweet dude, but the actions of the women showed otherwise. He was good-looking so at first women would be interested. He even had them intrigued in the first couple of minutes of the conversation. Then he would throw in cheesy one-liners and he would try too hard, coming off as conceited or rude. He didn't mean to be this way but these women would just shut down. They would go from interested to turned off in a matter of minutes. Their first impression was that Paul was a conceited jerk who tried too hard and had ego issues. Not good for Paul's game at all, which is why he often ended up alone when all was said and done. What you can learn from Paul's story is that your first impression is vital to your dating game and your life as a whole. Get a handle on it and be honest about what vibe you are giving off to others around you. Just because you think you have it all figured out or you are sure of what people's first impressions may be, there's a possibility that you may be wrong. So face that down, be honest about it, and then learn what to change in moving forward. It may change your dating life forever if you figure out what needs to be fixed, improved upon, or changed up. Figure out what's going wrong and then be willing to fix it. Honesty is not always an easy thing when it comes to figuring out how people perceive you. This is particularly true when it comes to making a good first impression. It can sting quite a bit if you find out you are not being well received. You may not always like what you find when you analyze your first impressions, but it will literally change up your game if you face it down and fix it. Here are some helpful hints at how to change up that first impression that you make and work towards a more favorable perception and related outcome too. Put yourself in the other person's shoes. You know how you think other people feel about you, but are you giving it an honest assessment? This is an instance where you need to put yourself in the other person's shoes. Think of what you are saying, what you are doing, and how you are coming off. You can pick up on cues but it all starts with thinking like they think. As it relates to women, think about the things that they may like to talk about. Think of the questions they might like to answer. My biggest tip is that everyone, whether male or female, like and finds it easy to talk about themselves. So ask questions about her job, day, favorite drink, food, etc. Consider how an open dialogue should be with two people talking and listening. Is this how it's happening for you? Is this the type of situation that you are creating? Is she walking away feeling like you have listened to her? If you honestly answer no to any of these questions, then you are not thinking like her and squeezing yourself into her pair of high-heel shoes. This assessment is pivotal to your ability to deal with your first impressions and change it up. You will notice a better response from women if you not only realize that your first impression is lacking but also work to fix it moving forward. Figure out how to start up a good conversation so that you are interesting right away. Either you're a Paul where you're all into a fault or you may completely stumble and fall when it comes to striking up a good conversation. There is often no in-between and so you see just how important conversation is. Sure, I get it, you are probably awesome at talking to your buddies about sports scores, the weather, or what happened on the latest reality show. Amazing, pat yourself on the back for being able to talk to your buddies. Oh wait, that's not the focus here though. Are you actually talking about things that are of interest to her? Are you overcompensating and letting your nerves get in the way, thus talking way too fast and saying way too much without substance? Are you freezing up out of fear and leaving those panic-inducing silences? Either extreme isn't good, so you have to make a plan to fix what you say upon first impression. Becoming a good conversationalist takes time, but will change if you work hard at it. You have to think of things from her point of view and create a conversation that she is interested in participating in too. If you are stuck, of course, a genuine compliment about something she does or the way she looks, combined with a question about it, will make most women smile. Chapter 21. The body language you must know if you want to succeed. Read her body language and look for cues, both positive and negative. Okay, straight up, you will not figure this one out right away, bro. Trying to read women isn't always easy and you may feel like you need a foreign translator. Which, of course, you kinda do because it can feel like women are sometimes from a different planet. However, I will help you figure this one out. Did you know that despite it always seeming like it is us men that have to make the approach to initiate flirting with women, 90% of the time it is actually her? She will be using movements to suggest if she is happy with you approaching her. This is often through eye, face, and body signals sent out to the targeted man. If you are perceptive enough to pick up on these signals, then you will more than likely have a very successful approach. Now, don't go getting too excited by this because most men are not very good at picking up on female body language. We have so much extra testosterone floating around our bodies that it can cause us to often mistake a friendly smile for sexual interest. What a minefield. A lot of body language is subconscious and she will be giving away secrets left, right and center if you learn to keep an eye out for the clues. Body language is a such massive area that a whole book could be dedicated to it. My suggestion is to complete your own further research if you want to know more detailed information. Google is your friend and YouTube is your visual playmate. If I go into detail about the subtler forms of body language, I won't be able to cover everything else that is needed in this book. So we will just focus on the easier, more obvious positive ones to pick up on for a start. Eye contact. A woman who may be interested in you will generally look your way, catch your eye for a few seconds and look away again. Check first your zipper isn't down and you don't have spaghetti sauce splattered down your shirt as the thing she is actually looking at. If you are all good, she will repeat this quick glance up to 3 times. In repeatedly looking at you and away again, she has indicated her interest in your approach. Smiling, all you may get is a quick half smile. Don't rely on just a quick smile to indicate an approach. Make sure her other signals indicate the same. Posture. If she wants you to approach, her posture will be set to show off. By this I mean she will be straightening clothes, touching or flicking her hair, and possibly lightly licking her lips. If she is sitting down, more than likely she will be sitting straight back with legs crossed, showing off whatever she feels are her best assets. Similarly, if she is standing, she may emphasize her curves by tilting her hips slightly forward. Remember, with most women, this is subconscious and not what they think is blatant and outright flirting. Don't go up to her, if she is displaying this type of body language, thinking she is easy and can be treated as such. You definitely don't want her to have her first impression of you as a sleaze, because you read body language the wrong way. Talking to her, if you are making a good impression after approaching her, she may look for an opportunity to accidentally touch you. She may repeat the touch to see how comfortable you were with it. Here are some positive facial gestures to look out for when talking to her to boost your confidence that your first impression and approach are going well. Raised eyebrows. When combined with a smile or a nod, it usually means she is interested and agreeing with what you are saying or doing. Active eyelids. It's one of the oldest stereotypical female flirts, but if she is batting her eyelashes at you, she is flirting back. Dilated pupils really only works in a bright setting. Both male and female's pupils dilate, get bigger and darker, if they are talking to someone they are interested in. Flared nostrils, this is an involuntary response that happens in females if they are aroused or excited. Lips, chewing or licking her lips draws your attention towards them, which is a sexual or arousing part of her body. The things to be wary of as cues she is not interested or has changed her mind about you are listed below. Crossed arms, if she has crossed her arms, chances are she has become bored or uninterested. She is putting a barrier between you both and you may need to give up trying to flirt and converse. Touching her hair in quick jerky movements, touching hair in slow gentle twisting or twirling is a great sign. However, if it's being done in quick jerky movements, then this probably means she is uneasy, embarrassed, or bored. Especially true if paired with looking in another direction. Looking away, when she is interested in you, she will show this by looking directly into your eyes. If she is looking at everything but you, then it's time to give up, you've lost her. Women can tell you a lot about their interest in you without ever uttering a word. So be on the lookout for cues and learn how to create your own to make this work to your advantage moving forward. Not only do you want to learn how to read her, but you also want to work to make your own great impression. This comes from learning to read body language and also create your own to win her over and show that you are in tune with this stuff. Keep in mind that this is just a general guide and not all women have the same body language. Also, that sexual gestures like licking lips are performed subconsciously. Sex appeal is the brain's natural response if you are interested in someone of the opposite sex. It does not automatically mean she wants to have sex with you. Reading her body language is a great tool for you, but remember she may be doing the same, so it is important for you to also give off the right cues to initiate flirting and create a great impression. Here are a few quick tips. Smile. What have you got to lose in a quick smile? Even if she turns out to not be interested, you will have probably brightened her day. Smiling always makes you feel more positive and confident. Torso. We apparently keep our chest up and shoulders pointed towards the most important thing in the room. So puff it up and keep it in her direction. Stance. To make yourself look powerful, which is sexy to most women, stand with your feet set wide apart and in her direction. You can also put your hands on your hips to create a powerful image. Practice this in the mirror because you don't want it to come off looking dorky. Touch. She wants to know if you are interested too. So if things are going well and you have initiated the conversation, make a point of flirting by lightly touching her lower back, upper arm, or waist. If she leans in, she is probably comfortable with this. If not, refrain from touching her again until she indicates further interest. Girls don't like wandering, creepy hands, so exercise this one with caution. Work to create the impression that you want women to be left with. Remember my buddy Paul who thought he was the master of first impressions? Yeah, he wasn't, and neither are you if you think that you don't have to actually work for it either. It's up to you to think of how you want people to perceive you. It's up to you to put out a positive vibe rather than just assuming that's what you are giving out. This takes work, it takes focused effort, and it also means that you are in fact in control over this. Think of how you want people to perceive you and the positives that this includes and then push for it. By this perception, I mean, do you want to come across as the funny guy, the impeccably dressed guy, the mannered gentleman guy, the outdoorsy guy, the sensitive guy, the quiet listening guy, the loud outgoing guy, etc., etc. Remember, you still have to be yourself, so don't try to be the guy you aren't. Really work on pushing the angle of your personality that is your selling point to women in your first impression. Put in the work so that somebody can't help but walk away with a good impression of you. For example, you may now know that you have been trying to put across the funny outgoing guy in first impressions, and that's not actually you and what you are comfortable presenting to women. They will pick up on this fakeness and get the impression of you as a try-hard. Perhaps, you have now listened to the information in previous chapters and taken stock and know that actually, you are a quiet listener, who is better at asking interesting questions about the woman they have met. If this is you, you can now work towards making this the main thing you will present as a positive in your first impression to women. All this comes with being humble, vulnerable, and honest. And then putting in the effort to improve it. So while you may not like where you are at now, you should be more than willing to change it up. Be honest in your assessment and be willing to fix the things that aren't working for you. If you really do think about it, you probably already know what isn't working for you. It may be quite evident and you never wanted to fix it. You may have felt too overwhelmed to try to change up what you knew wasn't a positive for you. Whatever the case may be, honesty will serve you well here. I knew that back in the day I was not the best conversationalist, but I faced that down and worked at it. I even became a naturally funnier guy, by becoming more at ease in my conversations with women. You can continue to go through life with blinders on, but how is that working out for you? Be honest about what's not working for you and then put in the work. Improve the things that are creating a tainted or less than a favorable perception of you. If you can change that, then you can do anything, and your dating life and first impressions will be favorable from here on out. Chapter Takeaways. First impressions are difficult to get right and require hard/uncomfortable work. Analyze the type of first impression you are currently making by examining past encounters. To improve or change the type of first impression you are giving off, try getting into their shoes, asking questions to create conversation, reading body language, figuring out the type of first impression you want to present, being honest about what needs to be fixed and create a plan to do it. Chapter 22. The proper way and time to approach and make your move. Oh, for the love of God, will you please stop waiting for the perfect moment? Will you stop assuming that this is like some movie where the music is playing in the background as you slowly approach each other, enjoying amazing love at first sight? I'm not saying that it's not possible, I'm just saying that it's not probable. If you continue to waste your life waiting for that perfect moment or that perfect situation to exist, then you are going to be waiting a long time and miss a lot of opportunities. Yes, even men can get caught up in the notion of a perfect scenario to meet their dream woman. But you need to come back down to earth here, my friend. Here's the thing, you can give yourself a million excuses why you don't want to approach her today. It may be that you aren't feeling on top of your game. You might tell yourself that you are sick of rejection. Maybe you just feel like hanging with your boys, or it might be that you are okay with being single. Does any of this sound familiar? Yup, we've all been there because we all want the stars and the moon to be aligned so that we can approach this woman without being completely shut down. Sounds great in theory, right? In practice and in reality, though, this is just not the way that it usually works. You're missing out if you're waiting for that embossed invitation. I have a buddy who thought he had meeting the woman of his dreams all figured out. Clearly, if I am telling you his story, he must not have, but it did provide for some good stories. It also provided me a way to stay entertained since he wouldn't ever take my advice. My buddy's name is Ken, and he is a piece of work in this capacity. He thought he had it down to a science as to when was the perfect time to approach a woman. He was like a weather forecaster, mad scientist, and fortune teller all mixed into one, except that he was wrong every single time. He waited for some big sign that it was the right time to approach her. He would also assume that she was giving him these signs, and that always ended badly. Ken would sit on the sidelines, almost coming off as rude if a woman tried to come near him and he wasn't ready. He believed so heavily in these signs that he passed up some perfectly good opportunities. Ugh, I can't even handle thinking of this and how it all went down. Stop trying to predict or calculate and just start to live. He pretty much watched life pass him by until he was good and ready. And guess what? When he was good and ready, the women weren't interested in him. Just because his calculations and timetables said that now was the right time didn't mean that matched up with hers. Forget about it the way Ken did things, because you need to create as many opportunities for success with women as possible. Ken's way is not the way to go, and it will only ever leave you disappointed and alone. Sad but true. Women don't always wait for that one perfect sign, so why are you doing that to yourself? I get it. Working up the nerve to approach a woman isn't always easy. I understand it takes courage and overcoming that fear of rejection. Maybe that's why Ken was the way he was, or maybe he just thought it was all about him. Who knows, he never totally explained it in detail to me. However, I do know one thing though, opportunities present themselves and you best be on the lookout for them. If you become so calculated or worry so much about rejection, then you are missing out. You have to take risks sometimes to get them to pay off. You have to be willing to put yourself out there. What exactly are you so afraid of in the first place? You'll never know until you at least try. If you don't live in the moment at some point in your life, then it's all going to pass you by. I understand how easy it is to just blend into the wall. I know what it feels like to give yourself a million reasons or excuses why you shouldn't go talk to her. I know that feeling of just waiting for the right time or telling yourself that it's not meant to be right now. Stop the madness and start focusing in on the things that matter. Start looking for ways to seize the moment, get yourself out there, man up and get some courage, and go talk to the woman. You'll never know until you try, and I promise you that it will get easier with practice and be worth it. Here are a few things to help you figure out how to get that courage and stop getting in your own way of possibly being happy and getting dates. Yup, you can do this, and the only one stopping you is yourself. The truth hurts, doesn't it, my friend? Suck it up, buttercup, and get out there and stop worrying about the rejection that you may or may not experience. Chapter 23. Taking action. Know that perfect moments don't exist. Take a step back and let this one sink in. Yes, you're a smart guy and you want good things to happen, but they don't always come in and grab you by the hand. Lean in, closer, come on a little bit closer, okay, listen to me very carefully and really hear what I'm saying. Perfection doesn't exist. Mind-blowing, right? Perfect women, perfect relationships, perfect moments, none of it. Perfection should be taken out of your vocabulary. You deserve to be happy and find your right match, but she's not going to come in the form of pure perfection. So why would you assume that perfect moments happen any more than perfect relationships? If you sit there and keep waiting for that perfect moment, you're going to grow old alone. Instead, recognize that there is no such thing and that you are just making excuses and justifications to yourself. None of which will lead you down a path to anything good. Forget about that perfect moment you have conjured in your mind and just go for it. You've got this. Make your own good timing and live in the moment. Okay, let's take this one step further and really let this sink in and savor it. You create your own right timing. You get to live in the moment and actually experience things. You get the joy of making your own decisions and letting them work for you. Living means that you relish how it feels to experience joy and even pain. Deep thoughts, huh? You won't ever know what pure joy feels like if you don't also experience profound hurt. If you go through life being just on the line of blah, you will never get to feel the exhilaration and excitement of approaching a woman and flirting with her. Yes, the truth is it won't always work out, but then it wouldn't be exciting if you knew it always would. The thing is that you will never know until you try, and though you assume it will be painful, it may actually be the start of something really good. So make your own perfect timing, the here and now. Live in this moment and push aside all of the thoughts working against you. Know that hell yeah, you can talk to any girl you want. If it's not a match, it's not a match, but you just never know until you try. Go for it, make this your best opportunity, and tell yourself, what the hell, and go talk to her. Just making that decision puts you in control, lets you be powerful in your own life. And therefore means that good things are truly to come your way. Go in seeming unrehearsed but with a plan of what to say. Okay, this is all about creating actionable steps, right? I will help you with the how, what to really focus on and what to say. You can be an intriguing and very interesting conversationalist, which you probably don't even realize that you are capable of. Wait for that, because that's part of the good stuff. For right now though, just have a general plan of attack. Think about it and perhaps make a list of questions or topics that you can use so you can go up to a woman and talk to her. It may be that you just look at yourself in the mirror and say, "Hey tiger, it's go time." Okay, or maybe something to that effect. Act and give yourself a pep talk. Try to just act natural, and don't worry so too much about what you have rehearsed to say as happening word for word. But, it just won't happen that way. It's really all about having a general plan of things to talk about to her. It should be as simple as naturally approaching her and just having a few minutes of conversation. You will not be able to go in and chat her up right off the bat. You will need practice. So just try some casual conversation with different women with no outcome intended. When you have practiced this and feel a little more comfortable, we can bring in the more flirty elements, which will be discussed later in the book. You don't need a master plan with steps to it, but rather just an idea of what you want to say and that you are willing to do this. Yup, it takes courage, but you've got this, and if you decide that you will do it, then you will hold yourself accountable. Plan on just saying hi and asking a bit about her. Don't make it a script, but rather just a few general ideas of how to make eye contact and talk to the girl once and for all. The number one thing on your list should be not to bore her. How are you going to avoid that? That's right, talk about things she wants to talk about. The things most men think women want to hear are more than often not the right topics. Put it this way. Hypothetical question: if a girl came up to you, having just read a stereotypical list of a man, conversation topics like video games, stock trading, guns, motorbikes, cars, sports, virtual reality HD goggles etc. and starts droning on about them, more than likely you will find some of it interesting, but most of it will send you off to the land of Nod. It's the same if you try talking about a general list of stereotypical woman conversation topics. To find out what she likes talking about, just try a simple question like, "Hey, what sort of things do you like doing best in your spare time?" If she seems engaged and starts talking about what she likes, then you are on to a winner. I'm guessing you're asking now, how do I tell whether what I'm talking about with said girl is right? Well, let me give you an example of interested and not interested. Not interested in topic: guy, do you ever grow your own food? And, no, it seems like a lovely idea, but I don't have the space or time. Guy, alright, yeah, it's hard to find time for yourself these days. So when you do get free, what do you choose to do with those precious hours? And is saying here that growing her own food doesn't interest her. So guess what, guy, that great story you were going to tell her about all your homegrown herbs and veg for your home cooking is going to bore her to death. Can you see here how Guy managed to save himself though? He changed tact and asked her what she does in her spare time. Interested in a topic: Guy, have you been anywhere interesting overseas recently? And, oh my gosh, I just got back from the most amazing trip to Greece. The Acropolis was breathtaking. And is super enthusiastic about talking about her trip to Greece. So obviously Guy is on to a winner conversation topic here. The top tip here is to frame any questions that you have so she has to answer in a way that doesn't make her seem uncool. And this is not to be done in a nasty way, just in a clever and subtle way. Notice in the example of Guy's first topic that didn't interest her, he framed the second question in a way that made it difficult for her to not give a more detailed answer. The way he framed the question would have made her want to answer with something more cool and interesting. If she answered with something vague like, "Nothing much really," she would seem pretty lame and boring. Nobody wants to be seen as uncool and uninteresting. And to be honest, if a girl is answering this way, then she is either totally uninterested in talking to you or she is actually boring and not the type of woman you are wanting to put the effort into trying to get a date from. Use vague, boring answers to your questions as a cue to move on, buddy. Stop letting your fears get in the way and think of the possible outcomes. I want you to take action in a slightly different way here. I want you to sit down for a moment and think through what your actual fears are. Yeah, I know, this is asking you to think and dig deep and face things you don't necessarily want to face. I promise you though that it will bring you some clarity. Stay with me now and let's face this down together. What are your biggest fears here? What is holding you back? See if any of these apply to you or your situation, and then you will have a clearer understanding and be able to make a plan of action to move ahead. Are you afraid that she will laugh in your face or turn away from you? Are you afraid that she will totally reject you before you even get to talk to her? Are you fearful that your ego will get bruised with this exercise? Do you stay away because you just don't know what to say? Are you intimidated by her and therefore feel like a fool? Do you just worry that you will never get the girl and so you keep making excuses? Facing the truth isn't always easy, but it's totally worth it. I'm sure that at least one of these excuses or reasons is what's holding you back. However, do you know what each of these fears boils down to when you really think about it? Embarrassment. I'm betting that even if one of the above doesn't apply when you find what you are scared of, it will still boil down to fear of embarrassment. If you allow yourself to really see what lies in your own way, then you can shatter that excuse and move forward with purpose to something really good. Forget about that perfect moment because you're about to learn how to create your own, and then you begin to see that being a good conversationalist and using the right amount of flirting is well within your reach. Next, we will look at how to deal with the fear of embarrassment. Don't wait for the perfect moment, take the moment and make it perfect. Anonymous. Chapter takeaways: you can plan, chart, get scientific or even turn to astrology, but the perfect moment to approach a woman does not exist. To find the right one or even just increase your chance of getting a date, you need to create and seize as many opportunities as possible to flirt and converse with women. Increase your chances of success by knowing there is no perfect moment. You create your own opportunities, create a general plan of what to say, and create a plan to overcome related fears. Chapter 24. Easy ways to get over your fear about the approach. It's okay to be scared. Being scared means you're about to do something really, really brave. Mandy Hale. Okay, yeah, we're men, we're macho, we're big tough guys, and we're never afraid, right? Sound like a familiar way society views our sex? If you are sitting there reading this, then there's a very good chance that you have convinced yourself that you're not scared of anything too. You probably have said to yourself, not me. No way, I'm not a sissy. I'm a man's man, and how could I possibly get scared by the idea of talking to a woman? Yeah, I know, so not you at all. Except that actually it's a large part of the reason why you are reading this book. You may not necessarily think you are scared of talking to women, but you are definitely scared of something. Most probably a fear of emotional pain or embarrassment. Yes, even us dudes get scared, particularly when it comes to rejection. And that's actually okay. We are real, we have feelings too. What we need above all else though is to feel like we are respected. I've said it before and I've said it again, men need respect. Women crave love and affection. Men, we crave and need respect. We need and want to feel respected by our peers and the woman that we're interested in. Try as you might, you can't ignore the fact that respect matters greatly to you. But you have to face the fact you are not always going to feel respected in a risky situation like flirting. It may not always work out how you feel it should, and you may end up feeling disrespected by the woman you are talking to because she may not be interested. In a book by Emerson Eggerichs, the best-selling author of Love and Respect, a sample of men was asked, if forced to choose between being left alone and unloved in the world or being viewed as inadequate and disrespected, which would they prefer? 74% of Emerson's male sample answered they would prefer to be left alone and unloved, whereas the opposite was true of the sample taken from women. Whilst this is obviously a bit of a generalization, and to love a woman you also need to respect her, it highlights how important feeling respected is to us. Feeling respected in a relationship is very important, but it starts from the moment that we meet a woman. So if that potential respect is compromised or we feel that we won't possibly get it, then we are immediately hesitant about carrying out the respect-damaging activity. This is especially true of the approach and could have been one of the underlying reasons why you have been hesitant to do it in the past. Therefore, it's much easier to just avoid the possible confrontation or hurt feelings by avoiding the approach. You know I'm right. However, if you arm yourself with this knowledge and can prepare for the risk, it will be less of a blow if you are rejected. And yes, despite all best-laid plans, it will happen occasionally. You can overcome fears and obstacles if you're willing to put in the work. Don't let your need for respect and the potential hurt to your ego hold you back. Now let's identify those other potential fears about the approach and get some actionable ideas to overcome them. You've already completed part 1 of this if you have asked yourself the questions from earlier in this book. However, now it's up to you to take it a step further. Now it's up to you to figure out how to overcome that fear. Here are some of the likely fears holding you back and the actions or steps you can try to overcome them. You worry that she's going to call you out or reject you. Everyone, man or woman, worries about rejection. No one likes it. However, just stop for a minute and ask yourself, so what if she does reject you? What's the worst that could happen if she laughs in your face, though I highly doubt she will? What will happen in the big picture of your life if she resists you or turns you away? Well, I can tell you one thing for sure, it will sting. It's not going to be a nice feeling. Will your ego be temporarily bruised? Yes, it will. Are you going to have to go to A&E? Are you going to be mentally scarred for life and need a therapist for life? No. It's irrational to think that she will push you away or laugh you in your face, so recognize that. Know that it's much worse in your mind and push aside those fears for now. The truth is that you will not die or be seriously maimed in the process. So now think about it again, what is the worst that can happen? If you have your positive mindset engaged, you should be able to answer something along the lines of this. At worst, I will feel embarrassed for about a half hour max. If I'm on my own, no one else needs to know. At best, I come away with a funny story to tell my buds and have something to bond over. I can be real and honest with them and possibly even gain some tips from one another. Because of my courage, they may even then feel comfortable enough to share and laugh at their own chat-up fails with me. So far not that bad, right? If in fact, she does reject you, then you pick yourself up and move on. Chalk it up to experience and make sure you take a look at the situation later to see what you can learn from it to improve for next time. You will probably find that most women will at least give you credit for trying even if they're not interested. You can also be safe in the knowledge that even though they were not interested, they will at least probably be flattered and walk away feeling pretty good about themselves because of your actions. This should be something positive to take away, knowing that you have made another human's day. So think of the worst possible case scenario here and recognize it's not life-threatening. If it does happen, you can still move on with your ego intact. By keeping a positive mindset, you can still feel respected and move on to try again. Who knows, the next one could be the right girl. You feel embarrassed because you don't know what to say or you get tongue-tied. Okay, hold the phone, we've all been here. She's hot and you are totally freaking yourself out because of that. You so badly want to say something to her but you are totally intimidated by this woman that you assume is out of your league. But just think, what if she is looking for a guy just like you? She may not see herself the way you do and could be completely blown away by the fact that you came over to her in the first place. What if you are somebody unique and different from the other guys who approach her all the time? Here's the thing, you will never know until you try. You will never know the right things to say until you practice it. So here you get to use the plan you have created from previous chapters and get your approach and words together. Remember, the best thing to talk to her about is her. Chuck in an odd sincere compliment and you're on to a winning flirt. Everyone can talk about themselves and enjoys being subtly flattered. When you get past that first hurdle you will find conversation topics will start to flow. Just try it out. It may not work on the first woman, but it may on the next. It's not going to kill you to try, and if anything it builds up your experience and you can get better at it in the process. Put yourself out there, try it out, and see what just a few simple words can do to win her over. You might surprise yourself and truthfully the hot girl may be impressed with your efforts. Oh, and if you do get tongue-tied then just be yourself, turn it into humor, and roll with it. Be honest and address the fact you have stuffed up trying to chat her up. You can both laugh and then perhaps start over. This shows that you can deal with things in the moment, be honest, that you're not too serious and that you can make the best out of a bad situation. All positive qualities a woman will look for in a man. You have crashed and burned before and so you assume it will happen again. Okay, I hate to say this, but how many times have we talked about living in the past? Yeah, I'll be honest in saying that I too was once the guy who focused on past hurt, past relationships, or past failed attempts. I was so worried that it would happen again that I didn't have the courage to try it again for fear of the same negative outcome. It became a vicious circle. I lived and dwelled in that mode for a long time and guess where it got me? Nowhere. So forget about the past hurt and start to live in the moment. Don't let negative self-talk overcome your new positive thought process. It's okay to look at how past mistakes have shaped you and got you to where you are right now, as long as you are looking at them to improve yourself. That's positive. You learn from the mistakes and the negative patterns and issues, but they should stay in the past. I don't care if you have approached 19 women with a negative outcome because you know what? It just might be that 20th woman that it works with. She might be the one you were meant to meet. You crashed and burned and got hurt in the past, so what? You felt like crap and got down on yourself, but now it's over. You're Mr. Positivity. Muster up that courage that you know is deep down inside you. Recognize that the only way to overcome your fears is to put your plan into action. Work through the past hurt and leave it there. Move forward with purpose. I promise you that good things await you if you allow yourself to experience them. Getting hurt in relationships is part of life. You can't experience love without hurt. However, know that it won't happen every single time you talk to a woman or get into a relationship. Brush yourself off and get out there again, my friend. I promise good things will come your way if you actually try to talk to women. You can't die from hurt or embarrassment even if you do crash and burn again. So try it and see what works for you. Chapter 25. An effective strategy for success. I understand that there may be other reasons you identify as to why you feel fearful. Generally, though, it does always boil down to a fear of embarrassment and emotional hurt. Let me insert a little story here about one of my best buddies, Chris. He's a stellar guy and a really fun one to be around. He used to be fearless around women until one fateful evening in a bar. A gorgeous babe walked past him and settled herself down on a stool. He worked up the courage and went over to buy her a drink to chat her up, as I had seen happen so many times before. He was back in literally 90 seconds because she was having none of it. I could tell that it hurt and that Chris was thrown. As a matter of fact, for a couple of months after that, he tended to shy away from approaching women. I actually tried to talk to him about it once and he blew it off. It was noticeable that this one incident had literally shattered his confidence. Then one day we were out again and it was like he got his second wind. I asked him what had changed and he told me that he was sick of feeling like crap and sorry for himself and he wanted to get back out there. From where I was sitting it looked like a light bulb moment where someone had just flicked a switch. Though, I think that he was doing much more work on himself than he let on. On this occasion, he went up to this girl and I could tell it took a ton of courage on his part. I watched him take a deep breath, go up to her and start just chatting her up. I could see he was nervous but also that he had decided right there and right then that he just had to seize the opportunity. He was ready, and in the right mindset, and he had the courage to go for it, no matter the outcome. It was so cool to actually witness him picking himself back up again after having seen his confidence plummet. I was able to witness the change in him. And you know what went down with that girl that he approached? Well, they chatted for a while and in the end, even went out on a couple of dates. It didn't work out long term, but he was okay with that. He later told me it was just important that he was able to overcome whatever fear had crippled him and consciously chose to make a plan to make it better. He decided that he was sick of sitting on the sidelines of his life and letting his fear get in the way because of one bad incident. Taking the plunge and taking hold of his own destiny allowed him to get his courage and mojo back. To me, it was like a flick of a switch, but I know that it took a whole lot of effort and confidence for him to get his courage back. I've told you this story because hopefully, you recognize this could be what helps you to get back on track and work through the fears that may currently be crippling you. I know that you are sitting there reading this thinking that it's not possible, or that your situation is so much worse, or that your fears are different, or any other number of excuses or justifications. Listen to me carefully though, because it's all about overcoming those fears and working through them. Put together a plan of action or even try to set yourself small achievable goals. Aiming too big will make it too hard and will probably not end positively. Set yourself a goal that you will go and talk to one woman this weekend. Set yourself a goal that you will recognize that this fear doesn't have to limit you and come up with ways to overcome it. Put some thought into what action you can take to work through that fear as Chris did. I'm sure you are sick of being complacent or being an observer in your own life. When you complete your small goal, congratulate and reward yourself with something you like. This will help to start to create a positive association with the things you fear or find difficult. For the love of God, live in the moment and know that those fears are the only thing holding you back. Take action, step up to the plate, get uncomfortable, push those fears aside and push the boundaries. It is so liberating when it happens, and you are about to experience so much joy when you try it for yourself. You can do it, so let's work on fine-tuning your actual approach now. Chapter Takeaways. All of us, in varying degrees, fear embarrassment and emotional pain. Men crave respect. You will need to understand that you may not feel the respect you crave from a woman right away when flirting. Identify related fears and follow some of the plans to help overcome them. Set small achievable goals, reward achievements, and go for it. Chapter 26. Your ideal woman can be found easier than you think. By now you've identified the type of woman you would want to meet. You should also be in a more positive frame of mind. You will have identified past mistakes and know there is no such thing as the perfect moment to approach. Lastly, you will have identified some of the fears that may have been holding you back and made plans to overcome them. You should be feeling pretty good about your game. You should feel confident, self-assured, and very much in control of the type of approach you are going to take when you see the next amazing woman before you. It's time to cast aside your self-doubt and inhibitions and just go for it. So how exactly do you make that happen? Well, like I have said before and will say again, you think about and research the hell out of what she may be interested in to get the best out of possible conversations and interactions. In other words, you put yourself into your ideal woman's mindset and move forward with this insight as your focus. I will say that a lot of men probably feel incredibly stupid trying to think like a woman at first. You may think that this is a silly waste of time. You might feel that you already know all of this, so what's the point really? You may even try to skip over this because you feel that you are above this and you already know it anyhow. Don't make this mistake or skip this part because it matters, it really does. Get to hypothetically know her and you will find amazing benefits. A buddy, Greg, literally had this part all figured out. It was like down to a science and so interesting to watch him at work. I will tell you that it sure intrigued me because I found myself wanting to know what his secret was. When I found it out, it motivated me to try it out and go after it for myself. Greg was raised by a single mom and had 3 sisters. So he was forced from a young age to understand the mindset of women, whether he liked it or not. He learned that women were just as strong as men and that his sisters were indeed a force to be reckoned with. Each of them had differing qualities and opened up to him as the only male of the household in their own unique ways. He learned that what worked for perhaps consoling one didn't work for the other. He had to change how he talked and responded to adapt to each of their personalities and interests. Of course, he lived with them so he knew them inside out. And when he was older and it came to approaching women, it was like second nature and he was very earnest, respectful, and at ease. He was one step above every other man I've studied flirting. He had a way with women like nobody else that I had witnessed before. Here's what Greg told me he would do time and time again. he would sit down and put his mind to it and try to think of a woman. Not just any woman, that was too general and difficult. He would try to think of the exact type of woman he would be interested in. Specifically, he was looking for an athletic, active woman to do fun outdoor things with because he enjoyed outdoor activities and ideally wanted someone to share doing them with. He most enjoyed skiing, hiking, and biking, so he focused on these 3 areas. Next, he would attend local clubs or groups where he was most likely to meet a woman like this. When just hanging out and casually socializing at the clubs and groups, he would often just make mental notes as to what made the women who attended tick. It was a bonus if there was someone there he was attracted to and perhaps could try out using his research on. But mostly he just took the time to really observe women interested in the same pursuits as himself. He ultimately put himself into her mindset and worked to understand what she liked and what appealed to her. It was amazing to watch him and use his knowledge in full effect. And it worked brilliantly because he wasn't doing this to be a player or to meet as many women as he could, but rather to focus on the qualities of the right type of woman for him. This helps you to avoid unnecessary pain, embarrassment and the wasting her time and yours. He wanted to cut through the crap and get away from the women who were very clearly not a match for him. He took the next proactive step to make this happen, and for me who was interested in becoming better with women, it was just amazing to watch unfold. Women definitely noticed this too because his research and empathy for the way that she thought about things made him a really compassionate and interesting guy. He was the good guy that women swooned over. So not only did Greg become a bit of an expert on the type of woman that he wanted to date, but he also showed himself as a guy who cared. This was inspiring to me and it showed to be a proven way to win women over, nearly every single time. Here's how you can make this work and really get to understand what women like and how they think. It's going to benefit you and help you to find a good match in the end, both of which matter greatly to your flirting game. Do your research. This is where you put all of your thoughts and feelings into action. That is if you have completed the previous activities for really sitting down and thinking about the qualities of a woman you would like to date. If not, for the love of God man, go back and finally do it. Then start the research into what your typical woman is all about. I don't mean in a methodical sit down with a book way, but rather go out and experience the things and places she would. This means that you are taking the time to really and truly understand her. This may sound like an unnecessary task and you might even think it's a giant waste of time at first. Yet, the reality is that if you take the time to really get to know who your ideal woman is, then you are going to get further with your flirting objectives. You want to understand where she hangs out, what she's interested in, what she looks at online, and ultimately what makes her tick. This is easier than you might think if you really put yourself into her mindset. Don't make this superficial either, really try to think the way that she thinks. If you do your research and really work to understand this woman, then you can be where she is, get noticed, initiate contact, and ultimately appeal to the conversation and activities that she cares about. This also shows that you are a compassionate man who really and truly wants to impress her in the best way possible. Added bonus is that as you are doing research, you are also doing the activities you enjoy. Go to the places she is likely to hang out at. Think of Greg's example and how it worked. He wanted an active woman that he could do things outdoors with, so he targeted these types of activities to actually meet her. You may find that hanging out at a coffee shop helps you to find a woman that is interested in quiet socializing and reading, or is also as much of a connoisseur of coffee bean roasts as you. If that is your thing. You may find that joining a local business organization helps you to find a professional and career-driven woman that has similar goals to your own. It may be that a club or even a young singles group helps you to find a woman that has the same interests and desires at heart. The thing to remember though is that you have to not only do your research but also put your money where your mouth is. Put what you have found out into action. Don't just sit on the sidelines, join in, and have fun. In the beginning, just have fun and make some friends. When you are comfortable enough and have done your research, approach and meet that woman you think could be a good match for you. By hanging out in the places that she is likely to frequent, you show that you have targeted your search. You show that you can find the right woman for you, and she will see that you put in the time to make this happen. You impress her, you find a good match for you. And you start to really put yourself into her mindset, which is what it's all about in the end. Put yourself into her mindset and consider the things she cares about. It's more than just hanging out where she frequents. This does matter, but it's also trying to figure out how she thinks and why this matters. If you take the time to really get to know women, then you know firsthand what matters to her. This comes from doing your research, but also really observing women too. Though something may be important to you, it may not be the same for her. Obviously, without talking to her, you will be limited in the amount you can find out. However, the sort of things you can gather, for instance, might be how she reacts in competitive situations. Does it matter to her that she wins? What is her reaction? Does she gloat, or is she a sore loser? Is her reaction okay with you, or does it make you cringe in disappointment? Does she care about others, or is she more selfish? Does how she look, i.e. makeup and attire, seem important to her? When you find out the answers, also ask yourself if this is important to you. This is not an exhaustive list, just a few little things to get you started understanding what I mean by thinking about what she cares about. More will pop up for you to think about when you are in the situations doing your actual research. This sort of thing can't be observed right away, so be patient, because you do need to understand the things that matter to her. It's up to you to observe women as part of your research and truly get into her mindset. This isn't likely going to change your own mindset, but by doing this you can certainly get an appreciation for another's. You can then make an informed decision as to if it is important for the type of woman you are interested in to care about the same things as you. You will also find that when the time comes, you are able to talk to her with more purpose, confidence, and knowledge. You will find that your approach changes. You will be able to pick up on cues more easily. Ultimately, you will become the man that women are drawn to, because you not only exude confidence but will also be somebody that she can see as being able to relate to. Thinking as she does will go a long way in winning the right woman over. So here's where your investment of time pays off tremendously. Learn how to appeal to her interests, her tastes, and her likes. Now that you have figured out the holy grail, how she thinks and what makes her tick, you should have actually used it to start a little flirting in conversation. That means that you want to appeal as much as possible, without sucking up, to the things that she likes. This can be everything from the activities that you do, the dates that you plan, and even the way that you present yourself to her in the future. You know what she likes and you are putting the effort in to appeal to her directly. If you know that the woman you are interested in likes a certain type of music or enjoys going to the theater, then make this happen, or try to at least gain an appreciation for it. Nobody is asking you to give up your love of sports for the ballet, but you have to work at appealing to the things that she likes. If she is right for you, she will also make the same effort about the things you like. It must end up being a two-way street. In the beginning, though, it shows that you care and it shows that you are a guy that will put forth the effort to make her happy. Stay away from the biggest pitfalls that are sure to scare her away. If you are truly thinking like a woman, then you know firsthand what these are. You can tell what is going to turn her off if you have done your due diligence and actually paid attention on this one. By all means, if you know that she is more reserved or that's the type of woman that appeals to you, then don't come off as cocky, loud, or try too hard. If you know that she's not that active, then don't try to meet her at a biking club or take her on a hiking date. The thing to remember is that this is just as much about understanding what she likes and wants as much as it is about what she doesn't find appealing. Know what to stay away from, focus on the things that really matter to her, think like she does in that moment, and then put all of your research to work for you. This helps you to land the woman that you are really interested in. It shows that you are a man that cares and who takes the time to understand and appreciate women. Chapter Takeaways. Thinking like the type of woman you would be interested in will help avoid unnecessary hurt and embarrassment from rejection. Put effort into researching the activities your type of woman would be interested in. Attend clubs, groups, and places to observe and learn how she thinks and what she cares most about in these types of situations. Use your newfound knowledge to increase your chances of successfully flirting and securing future dates. Chapter 27. Making physical contact without being a creep. It's now real. You should have been putting all you have learned so far into practice and tried talking and flirting with some women. However, there are still a few secrets and words of wisdom I want to pass on to you before you think you've got it all. So don't stop reading just yet. And anyway, if you had listened to me at the start, my advice on using this book was to read it the whole way through first. But kudos to you if you have been trying out your newly learned skills. See, you are more confident already. This chapter though is where you put all your lessons to work and start exuding the confidence to use the gentle and effective art of touch. I don't mean hugging her like a freak. I don't mean hanging off her or touching her in a way that makes her uncomfortable. Good God, please don't do that. It will scare her away by being overzealous. It definitely is not about copying a cheeky feel either. This should be all about her and focusing on her cues, reading them correctly, and then knowing how to proceed accordingly. This may sound like a minefield, but it really doesn't have to be. I know that right now you are balancing that fine line between coming on too strong and not showing enough interest. We have all seen movie clips with the drink thrown in the face of an overzealous man or the ads on touch and sexual harassment. I know that they make you feel like a total creepo stalker when you want to touch her, you just aren't sure if you have her permission. The last thing that you want is to come off as some sort of pervert and therefore scare her away, or worse, the big burly doorman gets involved. You want to know that your flirtatious advances and touch in general are welcome and that she's just as eager to flirt in this way. You'll pick up on cues and then put it all into action. So how do you navigate the minefield without losing a limb? How do you figure out if she's going to welcome your touch or run screaming never to be heard from again? It's easy, you listen to her, but not the words that she speaks, but rather the signs that she's giving off. This is where you have to put in the work to get to know and understand her body language again. Remember, by using body language she can speak volumes without saying a word. We've talked a little bit about this before, but when it comes to advancing with a simple touch, this is where you have to really pay attention to and read her body language. A little will be instinctual. But don't rely too much on instinct, as that pesky hormone testosterone will always be rushing in to cloud your judgment, telling you to just go for it. I can tell you from experience that when you try to start slowly with a gentle touch or some basic flirting, you will be able to tell really quickly if this is going to win her over or scare her off. Never fear, she's going to tell you and show you if she wants you to keep going. Now, this is where you have to pick up on the cues and either keep going or hold off. Once you master this aspect, you will nearly have learned the fine art of flirting. This is where all of your confidence shines through and where you put your plans into action. Now it's do or die time. Use gentle touch, read body language, and therefore become a flirt that women are actually drawn to. How you execute the touch makes all the difference. Now, calm your nerves, get in touch with that inner confidence, and make this happen. Try to block out those TV and movie images of sexual harassment. Stop worrying so much about whether now is the right time and how she'll receive your subtle advances. Start focusing on what her body language is telling you. Here is a detailed way of how to incorporate some gentle touch into your encounters and become the flirt that you never thought you could be. Yes, you can, and soon you'll see that women love this approach and it can work for you. Chapter 28. Reading her cues. Learn to read her body language and understand what she's telling you. Okay, let me tell you this, my friend. She is telling you everything that you need to know, but you just might not realize it yet. If she's looking right into your eyes, standing facing you, or standing close to you, and she generally seems receptive or into you then she may be receptive to some flirt-affirming touch. If she seems unsure, then she'll be keeping a bit of distance between the two of you. She may be unsure or testing you to see how you respond to this. Before you do anything or even try to put your arm around her, look for her cues. She is telling you what you need to know, and if you respond accordingly, then you've either gotten in or you know it may be too early to incorporate flirty touch. You may not always like what the answer is if it is a negative response. If you are a real man with morals, you know you should stop touching or being in her personal space if she is telling you no or being negative to touch. Start simple with this step, and if she seems interested through her nonverbal cues, then proceed to the next step. Try a gentle touch on her arm as a first attempt to test the waters. Okay, if her body language is telling you that she seems into you, start slowly. Don't just try to go for it and push things too fast. If you think her body language is telling you that she's interested, then start with a very gentle and very subtle touch to her shoulder or upper arm. It's a fairly safe zone away from anywhere on her body that could be misconstrued for sexual groping. It may even be so subtle that she mistakes it for an accident. It's a gentle brush against her arm, but it's something that you know full well that you did it on purpose. Hopefully, it will ignite something a little electric even though it is subtle. You will become a master at this soon enough, but start small and build up. You may be standing near her and you find an opportunity to just run your hand against her arm. Or perhaps you, accidentally, tap your foot into hers. You will be able to see by her reaction if this was a good or bad thing, and you will know how to proceed. Chances are though that if she seemed receptive in the first place, then your gentle touch is going to be welcomed and you have a foundation to build from. Maintain eye contact and a smile as you progress to a gentle touch on the small of her back. Okay, listen carefully to me because this is an important part of your action plan. You need to keep eye contact, smile, and maintain a generally positive and interested attitude to make this work. You can't just look off into the distance. You can't just go through the motions. You can't just touch and not seem into her. You need to appear welcoming, calm, and genuinely interested, or none of this will work. If the subtle arm touch works and you are maintaining eye contact and a generally sunny disposition, then by all means proceed. The best course of action is to go in for a gentle touch on the small of her back. If you are moving somewhere together or you have to leave momentarily for the bathroom, phone call, etc., it is a good time to try this out. It shows her that you are interested and not just leaving her, that you are protective and guiding, also that you respect her. Yes, a touch can mean that much. Believe me, women will read into everything you do and be continually assessing your touches and body language too. This is a touch that women can see through, and she will notice your attention and interest level. It's also very sensual, and it can heighten the awareness that some chemistry is brewing here. Be aware of proximity and nonverbal communication to see if you can take it further and to ensure you are successfully flirting, so try good conversation, gentle touches, and simple cues such as eye contact and body language. The next step is to make sure she is responding the way you want her to. If she starts to stand closer and thus lessens the proximity, then she's telling you to keep going. Continue flirting, chatting her up, and keeping the connection going. Who knows, it might end in another date or perhaps even a little kiss. She will continue to show you her interest level with the way that she holds herself and how receptive she is. I promise you that you will get used to this and understand how to make it work before you know it. For now, just trust the process and put in the work. Before you know it, you'll be a flirt that gets her attention and keeps it there. Chapter Takeaways. You need to carefully look for cues in body language to know if it's appropriate to initiate flirting through little touches. Don't push or move too fast to make flirty touches. You will come off as a creep. Use the guide and tips discussed to know how to make a successful flirty touch. Chapter 29. How to know when a woman is truly into you, and then what to do. I know, by now you're probably thinking, what, there's more? Yes, there is. You have been making assumptions and guessing about all things flirt for so long that you need to get a grip on what is real and what you may be assuming. Okay, let me make this a little clearer for you by telling you about John. Good Lord, you could call him a ladies' man and you'd be totally right. Most men just saw that he seemed to have a way with the ladies, but I saw something else in him. I noticed that he really stopped to take inventory and noticed if a woman was into him. This was no accident because John knew exactly what he was doing. He knew that in order to get a woman to be into him, he had to know for certain that he was reading everything right and could push on forward successfully. In other words, he simply learned to pay attention. Start really paying attention and it works to your advantage. Yeah, I know you might think that this is repetitive because we already talked about looking for her nonverbal cues. However, you have to actually do something with what she's showing you, otherwise it doesn't work. If she is very clearly not interested, it's not her just being shy with an invitation for you to keep trying to get her to open up and come out of her shell. John was really good at noticing when a girl wasn't into him and he'd move on in a respectful manner. I will tell you something strange about this though. Sometimes that even worked to his advantage. Later on, that same woman who had earlier dismissed him would then become more interested because he stopped and moved on. For now, just let it be said that a guy like John learned to stay away from stupid assumptions about the women he encountered. In the past, he didn't do his homework and these assumptions never did him any good. So he changed up his game. This is where you two put your observations of women into action and you start to respond accordingly. Stop making up fictitious stories in your head and put the time into actually picking up on what she's putting out there instead of assuming that she's just playing hard to get. John just understood this. Women loved that he seemed to pick up on cues and didn't miss a beat with starting up a conversation and therefore winning her over by favorably responding when she showed some interest. He became really good at putting those observations into play, and you can too. Put your observations into play and make them work for you. Simply put, forget what you thought you knew. Recognize that no, you didn't have it all figured out. Don't approach or push it with a woman who very clearly doesn't seem into you. Recognize that if you stay away from the assumptions and actually act on the observations, this will all go a lot better for you. Here's how to make it work to your advantage. Forget what you thought you knew, I can't say this enough. Stop the madness and start looking for what she is really showing you. Women are not going to play games if they're truly interested. You can tell if she's receptive to your conversation or flirting. This is not your time to go rogue or to assume that she's interested even if she doesn't seem like it. This is your time to pay attention to what she's telling you and showing you. Assumptions do no good here and observations of reality are what you need to rely on. Relearning everything you thought you knew is quite common, so don't fret about it because you're not alone. There is no manual, but you can go with what you know. Here's the thing, you've done your research. You've started to really practice what it means to be an effective flirt. You've gone the extra mile and shown her your interest level because you know what to look for. So now that your observations are paying off, go with what you know. Be yourself, try to strike up a conversation, and focus on things that she will actually be interested in. Recognize that confidence and a good sense of humor will get you far in the art of flirting. There is no manual to take you step by step through what the interaction should be. Every woman will be different, just like no two fingerprints are the same. Therefore, I cannot give you step-by-step instructions, as every interaction will follow different courses. However, if you follow the general guidelines I have talked about, then you will sail through. This is all about trusting your instincts. Relying on what you know about yourself and what you have observed about this woman, and then just talking to her. If you keep it simple, fun, and light, then you will get a lot further and win her over. Slow down, keep it calm, and don't scare her. She's telling you exactly what you need to know if you would only listen to her. Don't be the creepy guy or the stalker or the guy that comes on too strong. On the opposite end of the spectrum, don't let your nerves take over or become the guy who just stands there awkwardly unable to make a move. You have to pull it together, use all of the advice and insight that you've been given to this point, and find a way to stay calm so that she responds favorably. If you freak out at this stage or to go either extreme, then you can definitely kiss your chances goodbye. Part of learning how to flirt is becoming a good conversationalist. To become a good conversationalist, it means that you learn to listen and observe more. To do that, you have to be able to live in the moment and pick up on cues. You have to practice and actually have conversations with women. This is the perfect setting to do just that because she is sending you cues whether you realize it or not. Take a deep breath, slow it down, see what she's putting out there, and calmly respond. A little conversation, the right gentle and subtle touch, and a suave way of approaching her and flirting with her is sure to sweep her off her feet. You can be the hero here and you can win over any girl if you take your time to see what signs she's giving and then respond to them with a well-executed approach. Slow down and everything you are chasing will come around and catch you. Anonymous chapter takeaways: don't make assumptions and guesses about women. Use what you have learned to increase your chances of success. Really pay attention to what she is saying and doing. If you are getting all the right cues, keep it up, champ. Do not assume she is just shy or playing hard to get if you are getting negative responses. Cut your losses, you do not want to come off as an annoying creep. Sometimes cutting your losses will even intrigue her later when she has had time to think about why you stopped and moved on. Chapter 30. How you talk to her matters just as much as what you actually say. Does it really matter how you talk to her? Of course, it matters. You want to show you are respectful and make her feel important. You already know that you shouldn't talk down to her or come off as a cocky jerk. So what else is there to know? What else could you possibly need to know about how you talk to her? Isn't it much more about what you say to her and the quality of the things that you say? Sure, substance in conversation matters, but you have to know how to deliver it. You need to learn to use your body language to tell her that you are interested, caring, confident, and strong. You also need to learn to use your voice in a way that portrays this. Especially when talking about certain topics, you need to use your body language and voice to subconsciously get it to stick into her head that you are all of these things most women find attractive. It doesn't have to be that hard either if you only know how to keep things going back and forth. I promise you that you can turn all of this into action to help move you along in the courting process. Let's do this and you will soon see how you can transform into an amazing conversationalist that women are truly drawn to. The importance of your voice. Okay, heed my advice here because your voice has everything to do with how she will react. This is about the tone of your voice because, as you will learn, it matters greatly. The way that you talk to her. The positive or negative tone of your voice is a huge deal to her. It goes beyond just that though, because it's also about the speed at which you talk. If you are a fast talker, she will pick up on your nerves and may be turned off by your lack of self-confidence. It could also make her feel rushed and portray that she is not worth taking the time to talk to and make her feel important. You don't want to speak too slowly either, or else she might think that you may not be all there or are unable to spit out what you want to say. It's all about talking at a normal speed and a true interaction between the two of you. Keep your voice at a lower pitch if at all possible because it is not only seductive and sexy, but it also shows that you are thoughtful in your responses. Whatever you do, don't put on a Barry White though. Yes, this requires you to be focused and concentrate on your delivery. You already know that you have what it takes, but now you need to make it happen. Be in control of your voice and the way that you talk to her. It is very much about the tone of your voice, not just about what you are saying to her. She may even mentally take a step back and listen to how you talk for a moment, abandoning the conversation topic altogether. Women want to see that you can treat them well, and this starts from the moment that you start speaking to her. So make it count and be in control of the tone, speed, volume, and pitch of your voice because she will definitely notice. The power of asking questions and helping to put her at ease. You want her to feel relaxed when she talks to you. You want to ask her questions that she is eager to respond to. You want to ask her questions to get to know her better, but at the same time, you don't want to be invasive either. So this is a fine balance where you are trying to ask her questions so she can talk about herself but also get to know you. The way that you ask the questions is a huge factor for success too. If you are mindful about keeping it calm and not making it feel like an interview, this will go a lot further in making her happy and interested. Think of what you want to learn about her and focus your questions upon that. Be sure that you maintain a good tone of voice and that you ask the questions as somebody who is truly interested. You are intrigued by her and you want your questions to be a reflection of that. This means that the questions should help to put her at ease and not get her all worried. Therefore, think of how you can help her to relax and focus on questions that help her to feel good, positive, and relaxed. Ask her about what she does for fun, her hobbies, and things that generally will help her to chill out and enjoy a good conversation. If you show you are very much in control of the conversation but at the same time interested and listening to what she has to say. If you ask the right questions in the right way, it can generate a great interaction with both of you getting an enjoyable outcome. All of this means that you get to the point where you can ask her on a date and move forward with getting to know her better. Talk about yourself just the right amount, make no mistake here, you are trying to sell yourself. If you talk about yourself too much, you come off as a conceited jerk. You want her to have the opportunity to get to know you better but not come off as if you are auditioning for something. Cocky is never good, but remember confidence is great. Take the cues from the conversation. If you are asking her questions about her life and something relates to yours, by all means throw in something about yourself. Talk about who you are and your life, but watch for her cues. If she starts getting bored or if she's doing far more listening than actively talking, steer it back toward her. You already know how to observe her and you already understand how she thinks about things. If she leans in and really seems interested, then you have found the perfect balance of how much to talk about yourself. If she seems put off or is looking off in a complete lack of interest, then it's time to mix it up a bit or perhaps consider politely ending the conversation. She does want to get to know you, but she also doesn't need you to talk constantly about who you are and how great you are. Cocky is never attractive, so don't focus on your possessions or how you are just such a winner in life. Let her into who you are but focus on the things that she really cares about, like what you do for a living, what you do for fun, and a glimpse of the type of guy that you are. If you do this carefully, then she is going to be immediately interested and want to learn more. The conversation will be flowing and it will be a good healthy back and forth balance that will keep her intrigued and wanting to get to know more about you. Use just the right amount of teasing and sarcasm. Yes, you want to show that you have a sense of humor because women love the funny guy. You can throw in a little teasing as the conversation goes on. Have fun talking to her. That's actually a good thing. Just be sure that you don't cross the line to being offensive and making her pissed. You are not going to get anywhere if you cross the line from fun, witty, and teasing, to offending her. Getting this right may be the hardest part of striking up a good productive balanced conversation with her. Don't try to be funny in a way that just isn't you. And hey, if she is finding you funny when you aren't intending to be, roll with it. It's a bonus, be light and don't take it too much to heart. In the opposite way, we men have a tendency of taking the joke too far or trying too hard to be funny, so don't fall into either of those traps. Instead, tease her gently and see how she responds to it. If she's a funny girl, then she will be fine with it. If she's turned off by this, you can see that right away, and that means that you need to back off. Keep it light and carefree, and insert some humor, but don't try too hard. If you keep working so hard to be funny, then you come off as rehearsed and that won't get you any points. It should be humor that comes naturally, and light-hearted flirtatious teasing will help put her at ease. If you push too far, then the conversation will truly come to a screeching halt. A little goes a long way, so try out a joke or tease her just once and see how she responds. The conversation is very much about what you say, but also how you say it. It also involves a great deal of observation. Your time for observing her is not over, you will constantly be doing this and reassessing how she is responding with every date. Use a bit of sarcasm and humor and you will win her over, but know where the line or threshold is too. Chapter Takeaways. Use your body language and tone of voice to project qualities women are attracted to, like strength, protectiveness, and care. How you deliver your conversation will influence her opinion of you. Listen, ask questions, talk a little about yourself and throw in a little flirtatious teasing and humor to keep it light and funny. Chapter 31. Turning your flirting into a solid date, or more. Oi, get your mind out of the gutter, dude. I am not talking about sealing the deal in a physical way. There's plenty of time to focus on intimacy and taking things to the next level. That, however, is not the focus of this book. You are nowhere near that stage yet. You will be eventually, once you have practiced and nailed the flirting part. The focus here and now is on sealing the deal and using your conversation skills and flirting to get you a date. What you do with the dates after that time depends on how confident you are in yourself. You have to start somewhere, and this is it. You've done it, you're flirting. You've observed her, got into her mindset, and you've struck up some awesome conversations with her. So how do you take it to the next step? How do you ask her on the date and keep the positive momentum going? It may seem like a silly question to ask, right? You are in the moment, talking to her, things are going well, and so you just naturally ask her out on a date right there and then. Okay, well, you're only partially right, sometimes that works and sometimes you want to wait a bit. The thing is that you are becoming quite the conversationalist whether you realize it or not. So knowing when and how to move things along is an extension of good conversation and gut feeling. If things are going really well, then you get that feeling. Knowing how to make this magic happen though can be helped along in a few key ways. Look for opportunities, get up the nerve and take action when it's right. If you are lucky enough to get that big sign in that first conversation, then run with it. This is rarer than you might think because it usually takes a bit more nurturing and further flirting to move along to date securing stages. Obviously, if you are interested but not quite sure if it is the right time to ask her out face to face, get a phone number. This should be pretty easy if you have been reading all the signs right. If you had that first conversation and then you realize after the fact that you really want to ask her out on a date, then this is how you put that all to work. It may even be that you want to be a bit mysterious and therefore keep her interested. Don't play games and don't wait too long. But you can certainly wait a day or so to ask her out. The magic of texting gives you both more time to flirt from the comfort of behind a screen. Continue with that perfect delivery and she will say yes. Sensing when it's time to move on to the next level, you can see that she is very clearly into you. She's maintaining eye contact, she's leaning into you, and her body language is telling you that she likes you. As if that's not enough, the conversation seems effortless. You are talking very easily to one another and it's a perfect balance. This very moment may not be the perfect time to ask her out on a date, but it's certainly a good time to make the next step happen and become reality. This may be where you ask if you can call or text her. This may be where you tell her that you'd love to see her again. This may be where you just realize that you know you want something to come out of this first interaction. Again, if it feels natural to ask her on a date, then go for it, but this may not be the next right step every single time. This might be a better time to just tell her you to want to chat again because you're in a noisy or distracting environment. It may be that you want to keep the intrigue going and therefore you don't want to just fall into her lap. Don't play too hard to get, but do keep her interested. If you put all your cards on the table and ask her out on the first meeting, then it may feel a little too easy to her. Flirting has to be a little bit of a game, the unknown outcome is part of the thrill and excitement to be built up. You don't want to move straight on past this either. However, by now you know how to read her, and that means that you can easily sense if it's time to move things along and what the next right step is. This may be trial and error, but start by just enjoying good conversation and at least let her know that you would like to talk to her and see her again. Mission accomplished and step 1 done. Knowing how to ask her out on a date. Then just go for it. However, sometimes it is a bit more complicated or calculated than that. If you get her number, then start by texting her that you enjoyed meeting her. Try calling her, but maybe wait until the next day. This is where balance comes in so that you show you are interested but not overeager. You want her to think about you, but you also don't want to blow up her phone and annoy her and give her stalker alert vibes. So be careful about how you approach this, and if she is receptive to your text or call, then ask her out. Tell her that you'd like to talk to her again and ask her for coffee, a drink, or a walk. Tell her that you enjoyed meeting her and ask her to join you for a cake or tapas. Sometimes dinner can be a bit daunting for a first date. Keep it light and informal. If you happen to meet at an event or doing something you both enjoy such as a bike club or something along those lines, then this gives you a perfect in. Ask her out on a date to do that same thing and then grab a bite to eat again. Find some common ground and invite her along to something that she is sure to enjoy and that you feel comfortable doing too. You are using all of your great observations to extend the conversation. Think of it that way, you are asking her out on a date to keep the conversation going. No expectations, just a chance for the two of you to talk more and get to know each other. If you can deliver this very informal and relaxed invitation to go out on a date, she is almost always going to say yes. She saw that you were fun to talk to and flirt with and she wants more. This is your best case scenario and it means that you are making it all work in a cohesive and wonderful way. You are in control of this step but it is very much dictated by her actions. If you read her correctly, then you are going to know that she will say yes. Asking her out on a date makes you feel good, makes her feel good, and generates some excitement about what is to come out of that next meeting. You have mastered this part of the process and it feels amazing. Creating a harmonious and mutually beneficial next step, she said yes and you are so excited. Now what? Now it's time to create an awesome first date that makes you both happy. You want her to want another date, and this starts from the moment that you see each other again. Let's just call this the maintenance step because you have to keep doing what you've done to win her over. You have to keep the magic alive and ensure that the conversation is flowing. Yes, this is very much up to both of you, but if you put effort into it then you will continue to win her over that much more. You have to show her that you care and the fact that you put effort into that interaction is going to be a huge advantage. Put effort into your appearance so that she sees that you care about impressing her. Pick a place that allows the two of you to continue enjoying good conversation and that you are both comfortable in. Find something that will be interesting to her and that puts you both at ease. The only rule here is to go with your instincts and pick a place that will help her to feel safe, welcome, and ready to talk further and get to know each other more. It may be a ski date, it may be dinner, it may be coffee, or it may be a walk in the park. This is your extension or your opportunity to keep the positive momentum going. Smile at her, use the same conversation skills that worked the first time, flirt with her, laugh with her, and make it so that she simply can't say no to another date with you. Your job on that first date is to keep things moving along smoothly and positively, but also to make sure that the second date is undeniable. You can feel it when she is enjoying your company. You can feel the energy or chemistry when things are going well. Make this a harmonious interaction that makes you both happy. Be natural, be yourself, keep up a good conversation, and use this first date to really get to know each other. More than likely if you are using those good conversations and flirting skills, then you already know that there will be a second date. This first date may very well be the path to a great relationship and future, and you can feel that from this interaction. It feels great when all of your hard work comes together. It feels amazing when you realize that you actually are that great conversationalist and flirt that you always wanted to be. I promise you that it can work out if you follow these steps and keep things moving forward in a positive way that makes you both happy. It takes two to make this all work, but you have made this process work for yourself with the right woman and that is your accomplishment to celebrate. It also means there are great things to come out of all of this too. Sometimes you meet a person and you just click, you're comfortable with them like you've known them your whole life and you don't have to pretend to be anyone or anything. Alexander Ardenetto. Chapter 32. The Sexual Relationship Deal Closer. Congratulations. You have reached the end of the book. If you have made it here, then you will be able to master the art of flirting and get yourself a few dates. After a few dates and if things are going well you may be considering when is the right time to make it physical. I can't tell you this part, it's basic instinct and you will know if and when it's time to take things to a sexual place. You have done your research and worked your way through the exercises in this book and because of this, you will have learned what she wants and therefore be able to move things along at a pace that is comfortable for both of you. It will become easier and easier to know when the right time is for moving forward with the relationship. Both in a physical, mental, and emotional way. Your conversation and flirting skills don't just stop after you land that first date, they will always serve you well in the right relationship. Let's just get it out there and say it, women are not mean, nasty, rejection robots, and they do want to date, they do want to be romanced, and they do want to have sex too. Women will always be wary of distinguishing between the men who are trying to get her into bed on the first date and those that will take their time to flirt and romance before considering sex. If you truly want things to continue, then keep the observation and conversation going. Listen to her and it will be abundantly clear when you should make the moves. She's going to let you know, and by now you have become really good at reading her and picking up on her cues. This holds true not only for taking the step to make the relationship physical but also to the next date and the next phase or steps in your relationships. You have learned a lot about yourself in this process, but you have also learned a lot about women and how to make them happy by now too. If you are in the right relationship with the right woman, then you know when things are going smoothly and you want to keep that momentum going so that there is a happily ever after for both of you. Yes, you can make that happen, you just keep doing what you've been doing. Chapter 33. Flirt more, date more, seduce more. You have accomplished so much more than you probably ever thought was possible when you picked up this book. You might not have considered the fact that you would ever know how to flirt, and now you can do it with great ease. You may have even had a hard time striking up a good conversation, but look at you now. You may not have known the first thing about women or how to read them, and yet somehow here you are, in control of your own destiny. I promise you that you have grown a lot as an individual, but you have also learned to have the life that you always wanted. You are very much the type of guy who can approach and get approached by women and know how to move things along in the right way. It may be shocking at first when this all comes together, but it will lead to greater things. Know that you have what it takes, and the right women will realize that and pick up on what you are putting out there. You never picked up this book to learn to be a player. That's not what you're about, and so it serves no purpose. You never set out to be that guy who scored or who landed every woman that you meet. You do, however, have the skills to be able to talk to nearly any woman that you meet. You have what it takes to be a good conversationalist, and that will help you in nearly every possible area of life. Take the time to reflect upon the insight you have gained through this book and use it often. I have given you some tips and insight, but you have done the real work here. I hope that my stories and experiences have helped you to gain confidence and skills that will carry you forward. There are great women out there, and now you can be the man who talks to any of them in the most effective, flirty way possible. It's really rewarding to me to hear how this book helps men bring it all together, and I am certain that you will be no exception to that. Move forward with purpose and keep the positive momentum alive and well. Once you can carry on a conversation and know how to be just the right type of flirt, then there is virtually no stopping you. You can take things where you want to and enjoy better relationships with women who are truly the best matches for you. I have taken you as far as I can, and now the rest is up to you. Keep up the good work, keep winning the right women over, and change your relationship futures moving forward. Good things are to come your way, and now you can enjoy them for all that they are meant to be. Best of luck in your future endeavors, be yourself, keep the conversation going, and enjoy better relationships that you deserve in the future.